I collect attributes in the apocalypse. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 351 The War is Coming. Lee's house. Lin Fan, Zhu, and Shan and Andy had all gotten up and just happened to meet in the courtyard. Let's go to the study. Lin Fan glanced at Zhu and Shan and said with a faint smile. They would meet in the study before heading to the branch. Li Xianun and Li Zihan were waiting for them in the study. Seeing Lin Fan and the other two and Andy appear, Li Xianun said, "Little friend Lin, then shall we go to the branch now?" "Yes, okay." Lin Fan nodded and had no objection to this. According to their estimation, Dongfang Ling and others would take action today no matter what, and it would be impossible to delay any longer. It was just a matter of time today. But it didn't matter. Anyway, they just had to go to the branch and wait slowly. Since the evolvers that were supposed to be called up before had already been called up to the branch, only Lin Fan and a few others were rushing over at this time. "Master Li, let's take my car." Lin Fan came to the RV and saw Li Xianun planning to drive, so he couldn't help but smile and said. Li Xianun thought for a moment and said, "Okay, I've ridden in your modified car before, so I'll give it a try." He had never ridden in one before, and he didn't even know what the internal structure of this RV looked like. Lin Fan opened the door and several people got in. Li Xianun looked carefully inside the RV. After a while, he couldn't help but sigh. This RV is really well modified. It must be done by a very professional person, right? It's true that he is a third-level evolver, but he doesn't really understand this kind of problem. After all, everyone has his own expertise. Yes, it was indeed modified by a very professional person. Lin Fan sat in the driver's seat, nodded and smiled, and said, "Many people participated in the modification of this car, and it took a lot of time to get it done." "Well, you can see that it took a lot of effort." Li Xianun smiled faintly. "However, when this car was modified, the materials were not special. It is no problem to resist the second-level evolver, but it is not easy to resist the third-level evolver." Lin Fan started the car, stepped on the accelerator, and drove out. He said, "If it is facing a fourth-level evolver, there is no ability to resist it all. The fourth-level evolver can definitely punch through the car body." Lin Fan has not felt how strong the fourth-level evolver is, but he is already a top-level third-level evolver. He is very familiar with the sturdiness of this modified car. What he can be sure of is that if he really attacks this RV with all his strength, he can also punch through it. If he uses the long halberd made by Shuang Wang, it will be even easier. As long as there are people with this craft, it will become stronger and stronger if it is rebuilt with good materials in the future. Li Xianun smiled lightly. "That's right," Lin Fan nodded. "If there's enough material like thunder nickel steel, then you don't need to guess how terrifying it is to build a RV purely with thunder nickel steel." While chatting, they drove. Lin Fan and his companions arrived at the Li family branch not long after. At this time, the rest of the family forces gathered together. They all knew that today was the day to start a war with the Qinglong gang, and getting up early and making full preparations was the best way. "Master Li, Brother Lin." The arrival of Li Xianun, Lin Fan and others naturally attracted their attention. Not only did they greet Li Xianun, but they also greeted Lin Fan. There was no way. Lin Fan had already said that he would deal with Dongfang Ling. With such strength and courage, they simply could not ignore it. In fact, many people were eager to have a good relationship with Lin Fan, so that when Lin Fan became successful in the future, they could enjoy the shade under the big tree. Lin Fan did not neglect these greetings, and nodded in response one by one. No matter what, these people were considered powerful people, and others showed respect to him, so he should not put on any high airs. "Master," just as everyone finished greeting, a voice came over. Li Xianun tilted his head to take a look. The person who came was a member of the Li family, who was responsible for patrolling the edge of Zhonghe City. "What's the matter?" Li Xianun asked. "Master, the people from the Qinglong gang have entered the city and are heading in our direction," the man said hurriedly. "Are they finally here? It seems that they can't wait. We have waited so long just to wait for them to come. When the time comes, we will kill them without leaving a single piece of armor. Yes, they want to nex us, and we will not give them face." "But how did they know we were here?" everyone started to discuss it, and some people expressed doubts, wondering why the people from the Qinglong gang knew they were here. Hearing the discussion, Li Xianun spoke in a clear voice, "Everyone, this matter is very serious. Although we have arranged people to patrol, there are inevitably some omissions. I think their people should have come in to investigate, so they know that we are gathered here, but whether they know it or not has no effect on us. After all, we are planning to fight them here. They took the initiative to come here, which saves us time." What the head of the Li family said is right. Everyone nodded in agreement. They all felt that what Li Xianun said made sense. Anyway, the war between the two sides was inevitable. Even if Dongfangling did not arrange people to come in to investigate, they would guide Dongfangling and others here. Therefore, Dongfangling and others knew it in advance, which made them less worried. Li Xianun turned his eyes and looked at the person who came to report the news again, saying, "Continue to inquire about the situation. When they are only 10 kilometers away from us, come back and tell us." "Yes, head of the family, I will go now." The man nodded, turned around and left without wasting any time. Fang family. On a playground, everyone gathered here. Fang Yongtan glanced at everyone, and then said, "Everyone, we have received accurate information. Dongfangling led the team to Zhonghe City. Liao Feihuang should be with him. As for us, Tian Xiaobing led the team. Just now I got the news that Tian Xiaobing and others are no more than 50 kilometers away from us. We will prepare for this battle as we said before." "Okay." Hearing this, everyone responded in unison. "Let's go, we will wait for them outside, and everything will go according to plan." Fang Yongtan glanced at everyone again, waved his hand, and took the lead to walk out of Fang's house. Seeing this, everyone did not waste time and hurriedly followed Fang Yongtan. Chapter 352, Defeated General. Tian Xiaobing led his men straight to the Fang family. Soon, the convoy stopped outside the Fang family. At this time, Tian Xiaobing and Fang Yongtan's eyes met. "Fang Yongtan, you are really brave. You dare to go against our Qinglong gang. Do you know that this is a self-destructive behavior?" Tian Xiaobing said with a sneer on his face. Since knowing that Dongfangling's strength has broken through to the 4th level of evolution, Tian Xiaobing has made an undoubted judgment on this battle. In his opinion, they will win this battle no matter what. He is not worried about Dongfangling and Liao Feihuang. After all, Dongfangling is a 4th level evolutionist. With Dongfangling, how can Li Xianun and others be opponents? As for his side, including him, there are 3 3rd-level evolutionists. Even if Fang Yongtan and others have 3 3rd-level evolutionists, there is still a gap in strength between the 3rd-level evolutionists. He does not think that the 3rd-level evolutionists in Fang Yongtan's lineup are their opponents. Therefore, at this time, there is no need for him to be low-key. He should be arrogant when necessary. Facing Tian Xiaobing's arrogant words, Fang Yongtan also had a sneer on his face and said, "Tian Xiaobing, you are quite shameless. You said we are seeking our own death? Well, maybe we are seeking our own death, but we will never fall into your hands." "Haha, not in my hands." Tian Xiaobing laughed in anger and said, "Then I really want to see how you can withstand our attack today." He was absolutely confident in the strength of his team. After the voice fell, he raised his hand and waved, and the people behind him immediately showed an attacking posture, as if they were going to attack Fang Yongtan and others in the next moment. Fang Yongtan was naturally not scared. He sneered again and said, "We'll know whether it's a mule or a horse after we take them out for a walk. There's no point in talking nonsense. Since you want to fight, we'll accompany you to the end." "Haha, you're just looking for death," Tian Xiaobing said in a gloomy tone. "Go ahead, kill them for me, don't leave any of them alive." "Yes," the people of the Qinglong gang answered in unison. Then, everyone rushed towards Fang Yongtan and others, and Tian Xiaobing did the same. "We'll do it too." Fang Yongtan's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and he also waved his hand. "Kill!" the people of the alliance shouted loudly, and the battle was about to break out. Tian Xiaobing's opponent was undoubtedly Fang Yongtan. The two of them had been staring at each other since they rushed into the battlefield, wishing to take each other down immediately. The remaining 2 level 3 evolvers on both sides also each identified a target and rushed over to fight fiercely. When Tian Xiaobing and others were fighting fiercely with Fang Yongtan and others, the atmosphere in Zhonghe City also became tense. Because Dongfangling, Liao Feihuang and others finally approached the Li family branch. Li family branch. Li Xianun, Lin Fan and others were still waiting there, chatting with each other. Not long after, the person who had gone out to inquire about the news returned here again. Master, the people from the Qinglong gang are here. They are about 5 kilometers away from us now, the inquirer said hurriedly. Are they here? Lin Fan's eyes flashed with a subtle fighting spirit. Since his data had a breakthrough and he had mastered his supernatural powers, he wanted to fight with masters like Dongfang Ling to see how strong he was. He was not afraid of fighting like other people. On the contrary, he was eager to fight, very eager, more eager than anyone else. He felt that fighting could make him stronger and stimulate his potential. Li Xianyun's eyes condensed, swept a glance at everyone, and said loudly, everyone, Dongfang Ling and others are here, let's go outside and wait for them. Okay, everyone answered in unison. The group walked to the outside of the Li family branch and stood on the road. As for the ambushers, they had already been arranged just now, and they were hiding in the surroundings. The ambush locations were not so secretive or suitable for sneak attacks. As Lin Fan said before, the ambushers were not intended to achieve a good sneak attack effect, but to create some interference. After all, with an old fox like Dongfang Ling, it was not easy for them to achieve a good sneak attack effect. 5 kilometers was not a big deal for driving, and before long, a convoy appeared in the side of Li Xianyun, Lin Fan and others. This convoy was naturally Dongfang Ling, Liao Fihong and others. The car drove to the gate of the branch and stopped 500 meters away. Then, the car door opened and everyone got out. Dongfang Ling looked forward and fell on Li Xianyun and Lin Fan. As for Li Xianyun, he naturally knew him before and was familiar with him. As for Lin Fan, he really knew him in the previous transaction, and at that time, Lin Fan did not have any outstanding performance and strength, and he did not attract his attention. But now it was different. He no longer had the same idea about Lin Fan as before. The information he knew about Lin Fan today was that he was a level 3 evolver, and he was able to injure Liao Fihong, which was enough to show that Lin Fan was extraordinary. Master Li, I don't think I need to say more about the purpose of our coming here today. Now I will give you one last chance. If you surrender, I will forgive you. If you don't surrender, don't blame us for being ruthless and killing everyone, Dongfang Ling said calmly. His words were as calm as his face, without much ripples. But the chill that permeated his words was quite strong, and people who were close to him could feel as if their skin was frozen. Li Xianyun looked at Dongfang Ling and said, Boss Dongfang, since we are able to gather here and wait for your arrival, how can we say that we surrender? Li Xianyun, you are stubborn and you want to bring a group of people to die with you. You are really nice, Liao Fihong said. He said this to provoke the relationship between the other family forces and the alliance. Although he felt that they had a sure win, it would be a relief if he could make some people give up resistance by talking. However, at the moment when Liao Fihong finished speaking, before Li Xianyun could speak, another figure also took a step forward. The figure who stepped out was none other than Lin Fan. How dare a defeated general shout here, Lin Fan said lightly. Chapter 353 Your opponent is me. How dare a defeated general yell here? When Lin Fan's words spread in the field, the atmosphere in the field could be said to be quiet. Liao Fihong's face also became gloomy in an instant. Defeated general? Lin Fan said that he was a defeated general, and said it in front of so many people, which made him feel ashamed. Although he wanted to refute it, he couldn't say it after all. Because the fact that Lin Fan said was the ironclad fact that he was indeed defeated by Lin Fan and his arm was injured by Lin Fan. This matter has been widely spread, and there is no way to cover it up even if he wants to. However, this does not mean that he will swallow his anger. Lin Fan. I was careless in the last contest, otherwise how could you beat me? Liao Fihong clenched his fists together, staring at Lin Fan intently, and he could feel how strong his murderous intention towards Lin Fan was. Careless? Lin Fan showed a disdainful smile on his face and said, if I were you, I would admit it honestly. If you lose, you lose. Why bother making excuses for yourself, boy? I said I was careless, and today I will let you know that you are not my opponent at all, Liao Fihong said word by word. His strength has improved a little during this period, and he believes that Lin Fan's improvement speed will not be faster than his. Therefore, he is confident that if he fights with Lin Fan again, even if Lin Fan has that long halberd weapon, he can still defeat Lin Fan. Hearing what Liao Fihong said, Lin Fan used the ring to check Liao Fihong's data. Species, human level, level 3 strength, 14 speed, 14 reaction, 13 power, None. After seeing Liao Fihong's data information clearly, Lin Fan also had a general understanding of Liao Fihong's strength. This guy, compared with before, the data of strength and speed have increased, and he is indeed a little stronger. But this kind of strength is not enough in front of him. You have already been defeated by me, and you are not qualified to be my opponent anymore. Lin Fan shook his head and said lightly. His target today is Dongfangling, so why would he waste time on Liao Fihong? Boy! Don't you dare to fight me, Liao Fihong couldn't help but sneer. Lin Fan ignored Liao Fihong's words. He looked at Dongfangling and also used the ring to check Dongfangling's data to see how much stronger Dongfangling had become during this period. Species, human level, level 4 strength. 16 speed. 16 reaction. 16 superpower. None. This check immediately surprised Lin Fan. He didn't expect that Dongfangling's strength had broken through to the level of a 4th level evolver. Now Lin Fan also understood why only Dongfangling and Liao Fihong came to their side. It turned out that Dongfangling's strength broke through to the level of a 4th level evolver. However, at this time, he absolutely could not say that Dongfangling had the strength of a 4th level evolver. After all, the two sides have not yet started a thorough war. If he said that Dongfangling had the strength of a 4th level evolver, it would undoubtedly hit their morale. Furthermore, they didn't know that he had a ring that could read data. No one noticed that Dongfangling was a level 4 evolver, but he was the only one who noticed it. It was difficult to explain this problem clearly. Therefore, it was wisest to pretend not to know. A level 4 evolver is a level 4 evolver. Lin Fan's eyes narrowed slightly, and he secretly said in his heart. If I didn't have superpowers, I would definitely not be his opponent, but now I have mastered superpowers and have 3 good hidden weapons ready, so I might be able to fight him. Even if Dongfangling was a level 4 evolver, Lin Fan would not retreat or be afraid. He wanted to see how strong a level 4 evolver could be, and whether he could cope with it with his own strength. When Lin Fan looked at Dongfangling also looked at Lin Fan, and the two looked at each other. From Lin Fan's eyes, Dongfangling felt a strong desire to fight, which made him a little confused. Is this kid going to deal with him? Boy! Don't you dare to fight me again? Are you going to be a coward? Seeing that Lin Fan didn't answer him, Liao Fihong couldn't help but frown and continue to mock. He wanted to regain the face he lost last time, and he must beat Lin Fan to the ground. Liao Fihong's shouting made Lin Fan's mouth curl up slightly, and said, I said, you are not qualified to be my opponent. If your ears are not good and you can't hear clearly, then I don't mind helping you to clear your ears later, asshole. Liao Fihong's face was livid. If he wanted to regain his face, he naturally had to defeat Lin Fan, but if Lin Fan didn't fight him, wouldn't it mean he didn't have the chance to regain his face? How could he swallow the anger in his heart? Just when he was about to rush over to fight Lin Fan, Li Xianyun's voice spread. Liao Fihong, today, your opponent is me, Li Xianyun said. It's you? Liao Fihong was stunned for a moment, and his eyes turned to Li Xianyun, full of doubts. Li Xianyun didn't know that Dongfangling had broken through to the level of a 4th level evolver. In Li Xianyun's impression, Dongfangling should still be a 3rd level evolver. Then, shouldn't Li Xianyun go to deal with Dongfangling? Why did he come to deal with him? This really made Liao Fihong a little confused. Of course, many of the other people in the Qinglong gang also didn't figure this out. Yes, your opponent today is me, Li Xianyun said solemnly. Li Xianyun, do you not take our leader seriously? Liao Fihong couldn't help asking. Your leader will naturally be dealt with by little friend Lin. Li Xianyun glanced at Lin Fan. Liao Fihong's eyes widened a lot, and then he laughed and said, who do you think he is? He still wants to deal with our leader. Now he has the confidence to defeat Lin Fan, not to mention a 4th level evolver like Dongfangling. It seems that Li Xianyun and Lin Fan are both so confused that it makes people feel funny. Or it can be said that Lin Fan is too arrogant and overestimates his own abilities. This is not a problem you should be concerned about. You will know what is going on later. Li Xianyun smiled coldly, feeling extremely unhappy with Liao Fihong's attitude. Dongfangling did not mock anything like Liao Fihong did, but just set his eyes on Lin Fan and said slowly, who gave you the confidence to deal with me? Dongfangling was indeed very curious about where Lin Fan's confidence came from. You know, as the leader of the Qinglong gang, people would be afraid of him when they saw him on weekdays. He did not expect that Lin Fan, a 20-year-old young man, would dare to challenge him. Chapter 354, The Power of One Punch. Even if it were another level 3 evolver, he wouldn't dare to make such a decision. So, he wanted to know where Lin Fan's confidence came from, or who gave it to him. Confidence is of course something you give yourself. Facing Dongfang Ling's aggressive aura, Lin Fan was not afraid at all, and said calmly, "You can also think of it as my self-confidence being too inflated. If possible, I hope you can sober me up and not have such inflated self-confidence." The moment Lin Fan finished speaking, Dongfang Ling laughed and said, "Okay, very good. I admire confident young people, but your confidence is indeed, as you said, too inflated. Since you need me to help you sober up, then I can meet your request, boss. Why do you need to take action yourself to deal with this kid?" Liao Fihong said from the side. First, he really felt that Dongfang Ling didn't need to take action to deal with Lin Fan, and second, he wanted to deal with Lin Fan himself. Dongfang Ling raised his hand and said, "Just deal with Li Xianun." Li Xianun's strength was not simple, and Dongfang Ling was not sure whether Liao Fihong or Li Xianun was stronger, but there was nothing wrong in letting Liao Fihong deal with Li Xianun, which was just right to hone Liao Fihong's strength. Yes, Dongfang Ling had arranged it this way, so Liao Fihong dared not have any objections and could only nod and agree. Dongfang Ling looked at Li Xianun and Lin Fan again and said, "After this battle, the entire Honghe will belong to the Qinglong gang. I will not let you die too quickly, and I will let you witness with your own eyes when I unify Honghe." "That's just your whimsical idea," Lin Fan said lightly. "There is no point in talking more, let us witness it with real kung fu," Li Xianun sneered. Dongfang Ling's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and he waved his hand and said, "Kill." As his voice fell, Liao Fihong and others did not waste any more time and rushed forward one after another. "Little friend Lin, be careful." Seeing Liao Fihong and others rushing over, Li Xianun reminded. "Well, Master Li, you should be careful too." Lin Fan nodded and reminded in return. "Okay." Li Xianun also nodded, and then shouted, "Do it." Li Xianun rushed out first, followed by the Li family, and the other family forces also took action and rushed up to fight with Liao Fihong and others. "Brother Lin Fan, we are going to," Muran Shan said. Lin Fan glanced at the three of them and said, "Just don't be careless." "Don't worry, Brother Lin Fan, we won't be careless," Muran Shan promised. "That's good," Lin Fan smiled. Then, Muran Zhu, Muran Shan and Li Zihan also joined the battle. Lin Fan was still very confident in the strength of the three of them. As long as they were not careless and did not encounter a third-level evolver, the rest of the Qinglong gang would definitely not be able to cause any harm to them. Moreover, among those who came with Dongfang Ling this time, only Liao Fihong was a level 3 evolver, and the rest were level 2 evolvers. Lin Fan was naturally quite relieved about this, and didn't have to worry about the safety of the three of them. "Lin Fan, I am very surprised that you can have the strength of a level 3 evolver at this age. It's a pity that you are on the wrong side." Dongfang Ling locked his eyes on Lin Fan and said, "If you stand on the wrong side, you will naturally have to pay a price, and this price will be your life." "Sorry. I don't think I'm on the wrong side." Lin Fan shook his head and smiled. In fact, Lin Fan also had some admiration for people like Dongfang Ling. No matter what, Dongfang Ling is now a level 4 evolver. Moreover, before becoming a level 4 evolver, he had already controlled such a large group, which is not an easy task. In addition to strong strength, you must also have very good management skills. "You are still stubborn until now," Dongfang Ling said with some regret. "Well, in this case, I have no choice but to get rid of you. After all, I will feel uneasy if I leave you, a person with great growth potential. Only by getting rid of you can I feel completely relieved." What he said was also the truth. Lin Fan was so young and had the strength of a third-level evolver. It was obvious that he was a person with great growth potential. If such a person was allowed to continue to grow, he would sooner or later become a big worry for him. Lin Fan was unwilling to surrender, so there was only one outcome, to be eliminated. Only by eliminating Lin Fan could he eliminate the trouble forever and not worry about Lin Fan's revenge. "If you want to get rid of me, you can't just talk about it. You have to have the strength to do it." "I personally don't think you have such strength," Lin Fan said. "Do you know what my strength is?" Dongfang Ling raised his eyebrows and asked lightly. "Is it important to know whether it is important or not? Isn't it important whether my strength is stronger than yours?" Lin Fan asked back. "So, you think your strength has surpassed mine?" Dongfang Ling's eyes sank. Maybe. Lin Fan smiled indifferently. Surpassed me. Dongfangling also smiled. After a moment, he stretched out his hand and shook it, saying, "Then I will let you see today how powerful the strength of a 4th level evolver is. I will also let you know how vulnerable you are in front of me." When he finished speaking, he did not delay any longer, and rushed directly towards Lin Fan. "What? You have already broken through to the 4th level evolver?" Lin Fan pretended to be unaware, and a deep look of astonishment appeared on his face. On the surface, he was shocked, but in fact, he was calmer than anyone else. After all, he had learned the specific data of Dongfangling through the ring, and knew that Dongfangling had entered the 4th level evolver level. Of course, facing Dongfangling's attack, he would not treat it carelessly at all, but concentrated on locking Dongfangling's figure. Dongfangling's speed was very fast, and he quickly closed the distance and came to a place 10 meters away from Lin Fan's body. "The power of my punch is enough to take your life." Dongfangling's face flashed a grimace, his palm clenched into a fist, and he continued to rush forward, hitting Lin Fan fiercely. Seeing Dongfangling's fist approaching, Lin Fan took a deep breath, slowed down and exploded, and retreated. Dongfangling's speed and reaction both reached the value of 16, while his speed and reaction were only 14. With such a gap, it was impossible to rely on speed and reaction to avoid Dongfangling's attack. Therefore, he retreated, not intending to dodge, but preparing to use the distance to weaken the power of Dongfangling's attack before resisting. Chapter 355, Strong Body. Seeing Lin Fan retreating, Dongfangling's face showed a deep disdainful smile. It seems that this kid still knows what it means to avoid a sharp edge. His punch did not have any fancy moves, but only extremely strong power. When he punched out, even the air in front of the fist felt like it was torn apart and developed a sound of breaking through the air. This kind of power is not something that ordinary people can do. In other words, it is not an effect that can be achieved by evolvers below level 4. Only when the strength reaches level 4 evolvers can such strength be possessed. Dongfangling's speed is very fast. In a blink of an eye, he caught up with a retreating Lin Fan. After all, Dongfangling's speed has reached 16, and Lin Fan's data is still 14. The difference of 2 points is not small at all. But this is within Lin Fan's expectations. He never thought of relying on speed to avoid Dongfangling's attack, but just wanted to use speed to slow it down. Seeing Dongfangling's fist appear in front of him, he took a deep breath, his feet paused on the ground, and his retreating body suddenly stopped, no longer retreating. At the same time, he clenched his fists together and punched forward. However, he did not use his fists to fight Dongfangling head-on, but attacked Dongfangling's arms. Dongfangling's strength has also reached 16. It is obviously not a rational behavior to fight Dongfangling head-on. He must turn defense into offense. Only in this way can Dongfangling be forced to stop. Don't overestimate your ability. Dongfangling naturally noticed Lin Fan's actions, but he didn't care much. He was a genuine 4th level evolver, while Lin Fan was only a 3rd level evolver, and he could only barely defeat Liao Fihong with good weapons. From this point of view, if he put aside the weapons, Lin Fan might not be able to hurt Liao Fihong, and he might not even be Liao Fihong's opponent. Therefore, in Dongfangling's eyes, Lin Fan's attack was already dispensable. Even if he was attacked by Lin Fan, what would it matter? Thinking of this, Dongfangling's attacking fist did not stop, and continued to smash forward. Bang! His fist, as expected, landed on Lin Fan's chest, making a dull sound. Bang! Bang! But Lin Fan's fist also hit Dongfangling's arm accurately, and 2 dull sounds were also heard. Because Lin Fan was attacked by Dongfangling in the chest, under the effect of the force, his body also retreated backwards at this time, but he did not retreat too far, just retreated about 5 or 6 meters and stopped. The power of data 16 is really strong. After Lin Fan stood firm, he frowned slightly and thought secretly in his heart. You know, his current defense data has reached 12. The general 3rd level evolvers, attacking him, can hardly cause any harm to him. Only the top 3rd level evolvers may make him feel some pain. But just now, he endured the punch of Dongfangling, even when he retreated a certain distance and weakened the power of Dongfangling's fist. Unexpectedly, after hitting him, it still brought him a lot of pain. It has to be admitted that the strength of the 4th level evolvers is indeed very strong. However, the more he encountered such opponents, the stronger his fighting spirit became. He just needed such opponents to prove how strong he was. Dongfang Ling will be his stepping stone today. When Lin Fan thought about it, Dongfang Ling felt a storm in his heart. How could this be? This kid's body is really strong. This doesn't feel like a superpower at all, it's as if he is strong. Dongfang Ling's eyes were full of astonishment. He was not unaware that there was something strange about Lin Fan's body. After all, he had heard Liao Fihong say this, but when Liao Fihong said it, he only thought that Lin Fan's body became stronger due to superpowers. But after testing it himself just now, he found that his judgment should be wrong. The physical strength brought by superpowers should not be so strong. Lin Fan's body gave him the feeling that he was very strong. Yes, that was the feeling that his body was as strong as an iron plate. He really couldn't imagine why a normal evolver's body could be trained to be so strong. Furthermore, Lin Fan's 2 punches on his arm actually caused him pain. You know, he is now a level 4 evolver. Although he does not have the additional defensive attributes like Lin Fan, he is a level 4 evolver after all, and his body has become much stronger. Isn't Lin Fan's strength similar to Liao Fihong? How can he have such strong power? In fact, because Lin Fan is a Reborn, his body is stronger than that of people of the same level and with the same data, and the same is true for strength. Therefore, even if his strength data is 14, when it is truly reflected, it is more than 14, at least it must be at the level of 15. This is also the main reason why his 2 punches on Dongfang Ling's arm made Dongfang Ling feel stinging. Brother Lin Fan, are you okay? On the other side, Murin Shan was dealing with the people of the Qinglong Gang while keeping an eye on the battle on Lin Fan's side. After she beat back an evolver of the Qinglong Gang, she happened to see Lin Fan being beaten back by Dongfang Ling's punch in the chest, and asked worriedly. Of course, Murin Zhu, Li Zihan, Li Xianun and others were in the same mood as Murin Shan. While fighting, they also paid attention to the battle situation on Lin Fan's side. However, Murin Shan had already asked, so there was no need for them to repeat it again. Lin Fan glanced at Murin Shan and said, "Don't worry, I'm fine. It's good that you're fine, brother Lin Fan, you have to be careful. This guy has a sinister and cunning face, you have to watch out for him to sneak attack you." Murin Shan couldn't help but remind him. The atmosphere of the battle was originally very serious and hot, but Murin Shan's words almost made many people laugh out loud. Has a sinister and cunning face? Dongfang Ling's face changed several times when he heard this description. He didn't expect that he would be slandered like this. Boss. This girl, I will take her down myself later, and then give her to you to punish, Liao Fihong immediately said in a hoarse voice. Anyone can hear the meaning of his words. Take down and punish her, nothing more than that kind of thing. Liao Fihong, you can't even take care of yourself, and yet you want to take action against others? Do you really think we are just decorations? Li Xianun stared at Liao Fihong with cold eyes and spoke in a cold tone. Chapter 356 Changes in Morale. That's right, Liao Fihong, who do you think you are? Do you think you can handle the 2 of us with your strength? Next to Li Xianun, there was another old man who was not much different from Li Xianun in age. After Li Xianun finished speaking, the old man also mocked, "If you really think so, then I can only say that you are too ridiculous." This old man was also a 3rd-level evolver. Although his strength was not as strong as Li Xianun, in general, he was not much worse than Li Xianun. The 2 of them attacked Liao Fihong together, so they were naturally confident that they could defeat Liao Fihong and would not give Liao Fihong a chance to turn defeat into victory. Therefore, hearing Liao Fihong's arrogant words, Li Xianun and the old man were also angry. Liao Fihong was clearly looking down on them. Liao Fihong smiled coldly and said, "You 2 old guys also want to defeat me? This is the funniest joke. Let me see how I deal with you." Being called an old guy by Liao Fihong, Li Xianun's face darkened and he snorted coldly. "You are looking for death?" The old man next to him also looked gloomy and said, "Liao Fihong, today is the day you die. I want to see how long you can be so rampant." Then, the 3 of them fought fiercely again. Li Xianun and the old man were not simple in strength. With the cooperation of the 2, they attacked Liao Fihong from the left and the right, which caught Liao Fihong off guard. It was indeed impossible to reverse this advantageous situation. He could only wait for Dongfang Ling to deal with Lin Fan and then help him. Dongfang Ling no longer cared about these things. His eyes were always locked on Lin Fan. He did not rush to attack Lin Fan, but narrowed his eyes and asked, "Tell me, How did your body become so strong? I might consider sparing your life." The strength of Lin Fan's body moved him a little. He felt that Lin Fan must have some unknown secret method. He naturally wanted to know what this secret method was. In this way, his body could also become so strong, which would greatly improve his strength. Spare my life. Lin Fan smiled lightly, a smile that seemed casual, but also a mocking smile. Even if you are a 4th level evolver, it is still uncertain who will win today. When Lin Fan said this, he did not lower his voice, but deliberately spoke loudly. What? Dongfang Ling is actually a level 4 evolver. How did he break through? That's impossible. That's the level of a level 4 evolver. How can it be so easy to break through? How could Brother Lin Fan lie? He has personally fought with Dongfang Ling. Since he said Dongfang Ling is a level 4 evolver, then Dongfang Ling must be a level 4 evolver. Oh my god. If he is a level 4 evolver, how can we defeat him? Yes, the strength of a level 4 evolver must be much stronger than that of a level 3 evolver. Are we destined to lose this battle today? As soon as Lin Fan's words spread, there was no doubt that a huge wave of discussion immediately broke out in the field. Everyone felt that they were deeply shocked. After all, in the eyes of many people, a level 3 evolver is already a very strong existence. Now that Dongfang Ling is a level 4 evolver, they can't imagine how they can defeat Dongfang Ling. At this moment, their morale became much lower. Level 4 evolver. A trace of worry suddenly appeared in Murongxu's beautiful eyes. She didn't say that she was not morale depleted. She was just worried about Lin Fan's safety. Even though she hadn't even touched the threshold of a level 3 evolver, she could imagine that a level 4 evolver was no pushover. Sister, that bastard actually has the strength of a level 4 evolver. How can Lin Fan deal with him alone? Murongxu's eyes were also full of worry. For the two sisters, nothing was more important than Lin Fan's safety. Hearing Murongxu's words, the worry in Murongxu's beautiful eyes became even stronger. However, when she looked at Lin Fan again, she found a phenomenon that puzzled her. She noticed that there was no fear in Lin Fan's eyes. Instead, he was filled with a strong fighting spirit, as if Lin Fan was not afraid of the strength of Dongfang Ling's level 4 evolver at all. Xiao Shan, don't worry. Look at Lin Fan's expression. He is not afraid, Murongxu said. Hearing this, Murongxu and Li Zihan also looked at Lin Fan again, observing him carefully, and then noticed the problem Murongxu mentioned. Really? Brother Lin Fan seems very calm, Murongxu said excitedly. Lin Fan can be so calm, I think he is definitely not aimless, he must be certain, Li Zihan said. Yes, even if he is not sure, but from his eyes, I feel that kind of determination, Murongxu said in a serious tone. Moreover, he can calmly say that Dongfang Ling has the strength of a 4th level evolver, which should also explain some problems from the side. I believe him. It must be said that Murongxu is indeed the person who understands Lin Fan's mind the most. The reason why Lin Fan said this is indeed to tell everyone that even if Dongfang Ling has the strength of a 4th level evolver, he is not afraid. Lin Fan thinks it is normal for his people to have low morale. Because Dongfang Ling is still a 4th level evolver. Normal people will lose their courage when facing an opponent of this level, and dare not even think of fighting. However, his purpose was not to lower everyone's morale. Lin Fan swept his eyes over the crowd and said loudly again, everyone, he has the strength of a 4th level evolver, this is true, I have personally tested it. However, what I want to tell you is that he has the strength of a 4th level evolver, so we don't have to worry, just leave him to me, I am sure I can handle it, you still just need to do what you should do. Defeating them is our only goal today. Lin Fan's words were full of confidence, resounding, sonorous and powerful, penetrating deep into everyone's hearts. What he wanted was that everyone would further arouse the fighting spirit in their hearts under this pressure, and let them show their greatest abilities. In other words, let the pressure force their potential and let them play to the extreme in this battle. It is equivalent to the method of provoking. The trick is not old, as long as it works. Facts have proved that Lin Fan's trick is indeed very effective. The people who were originally demoralized have a great change in the next moment. Chapter 357 I look down on you. Brother Lin is right. Our goal today is to defeat them, not to be defeated by them. No matter what difficulties we encounter, we should grit our teeth and overcome them. Yes, Brother Lin said that Dongfang Ling was left to him to deal with, and he is confident that he can deal with it. The biggest problem lies with Brother Lin. But Brother Lin has not shown any sign of retreat. What reason do we have not to fight to the death? Fight to the death. We must fight them to the last moment and must not let Brother Lin down. Yes, fight them to the death. I don't believe we can't beat them. We will get rid of the rest as quickly as possible, so that we can free up our hands to help Brother Lin deal with Dongfangling. That's right, even if Dongfangling is a 4th level evolver, what does it matter? He is only one person after all. After we defeat the rest, with so many of us united, can't we deal with Dongfangling? Everyone became excited at this time. Dongfangling is so strong, but he didn't ask them to deal with him. It has always been Lin Fan who dealt with him. In this case, if they don't work harder to defeat the rest, how can they be worthy of Lin Fan's efforts? Thinking of this, the morale of the crowd surged back in an instant, and it was even much higher than before. This scene, falling into Lin Fan's eyes, also made him smile. He did not tell everyone at the beginning that Dongfangling had the strength of a 4th level evolver. First, he had never fought with Dongfangling, so it was difficult to make such a judgment. Second, if everyone knew that Dongfangling was so strong before the two sides fought, they would definitely lose a lot of motivation, and even feel that their battle was doomed to fail. Therefore, he waited until the two sides really started fighting and he himself fought with Dongfangling before telling it, just to further stimulate everyone's fighting spirit. What's more, he just fought with Dongfangling and was only slightly at a disadvantage, and there was no sign of failure. His performance was seen by everyone, and they knew that his strength was also not simple. Although they did not think that Lin Fan could defeat a 4th level evolver like Dongfangling by himself, they could help after dealing with Liao Fihong and others. At that time, with so many people united together, it is not impossible to take down Dongfangling. Kill! Li Xianun took the lead and shouted. Taking advantage of this moment, mobilizing everyone to kill everyone is the most important thing. Kill! As Li Xianun's voice fell, everyone also shouted. The battle between the two sides started more fiercely. Dongfangling did not pay attention to these situations. His eyes were still locked on Lin Fan. He said coldly, "Do you think that just now is the strength of a 4th level evolver? Do you think you can really defeat me? I just want to give you a chance to live, but I didn't expect you to be unwilling to cherish it. This makes me very disappointed in you. Since you insist on seeking death, I can only satisfy you." From Lin Fan's attitude, Dongfangling has already felt the meaning of never compromising, that is, Lin Fan will not compromise now no matter what. Perhaps, when he takes Lin Fan down and tortures him half to death, Lin Fan will choose to tell the answer he wants in order to survive. Then, he will let Lin Fan see how powerful the strength of a 4th level evolver is. And let Lin Fan know that the gap between them is as difficult to cross as a natural chasm. If you don't satisfy me, then I really look down on you. Lin Fan smiled faintly at Dongfangling's threatening words, and didn't take it seriously. Today, it was a life and death situation between him and Dongfangling. No matter what Dongfangling said, it couldn't change the result. Okay, Dongfangling laughed grimly, and then without further delay, he stepped on the ground and rushed towards Lin Fan, launching a new round of attacks. On the surface, he was casual, but when he really fought with Dongfangling, Lin Fan would not be careless at all. This 4th level evolver was not as strong as Liao Fihong. If he was still careless, he might be the one who suffered in the end. Dongfangling rushed to Lin Fan at a very fast speed, clenched his fists, and smashed them out. A subtle sound of breaking through the air resounded. Lin Fan still had to deal with it in the same way. He couldn't confront Dongfangling in the most direct way. That would not be a wise move for him. After using the method of retreating to weaken some of Dongfangling's attack power, the two sides fought together. Bang! Bang! The dull sound continued to spread as they fought. Lin Fan's body was always in a state of retreat during this fight. However, this was what gave Dongfangling a headache. Lin Fan's body was already stronger than he could imagine. His fists hitting Lin Fan could cause damage to Lin Fan, but they could not directly cause fatal damage. He believed that he could get rid of Lin Fan, but it would take some time. This was the first time he encountered such a difficult 3rd level evolver. Before this, even though he was still a 3rd level evolver, he had never encountered a 3rd level evolver who could fight with him for such a long time. It can be seen that Lin Fan's strength is indeed very strong, and even a master like Dongfangling felt it was difficult. Brother Lin Fan, don't fight him with your bare hands. Your halberd is behind you. Muran Shan saw that Lin Fan was always retreating. Although Lin Fan did not fall down due to injury, she felt very distressed and hurriedly reminded him. When they came out just now, They did not bring the halberd with them, but placed it at the back in case of emergency. In fact, there was a reason why Lin Fan retreated backwards. It was exactly the direction where the halberd was placed. He was going to use the halberd to deal with Dongfang Ling. At first, he did not know that Dongfang Ling's strength had broken through to the level of a 4th level evolver. He was still prepared to defeat Dongfang Ling with his bare hands. Now that Dongfang Ling is a 4th level evolver, it is impossible to defeat him with bare hands. He has to use the halberd to assist. As for the 3 hidden weapons he prepared, he did not want to expose them until the critical moment. After all, that was his biggest trump card in front of him, and he could not easily show it in front of others. The so-called trump card is that the fewer people know about it, the better. After a while, Lin Fan's body retreated to the place where the halberd was placed. He quickly reached out and grabbed the handle of the halberd, holding the halberd tightly in his hand. "Boss, that halberd is that kid's weapon. It's very sharp. My sword was chopped off by the halberd." Liao Fihong couldn't help but remind Lin Fan when he saw him holding the halberd in his hand. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 358 Deliberately Being Caught. In Liao Fihong's opinion, the main reason why he lost to Lin Fan last time was because of Lin Fan's halberd. If it wasn't for Lin Fan's halberd that broke a broadsword in his hand, he felt that Lin Fan would never have had a chance to hurt him. His idea was actually correct. At that time, Lin Fan had just broken through to the 3rd level of evolver. With his own combat experience, it was already the limit for him to fight him to a draw with his bare hands. It was a pity that he had to use weapons. If he didn't use weapons, Lin Fan would not have planned to use them either. But since he did, it was impossible for Lin Fan not to use them. If it wasn't for the halberd that broke the broadsword, it would have been difficult to hurt Liao Fihong in that battle that day. Therefore, when Liao Fihong saw Lin Fan holding the halberd again, he was so angry that his teeth itched. Hearing Liao Fihong's reminder, Dongfang Ling didn't show any change in expression, but stared at the halberd intently. After a moment, he spoke up and said, "I didn't expect that your halberd was made of a special material like thunder nickel steel. No wonder Fihong's sword was cut off." "Oh? You also know about this special material, thunder nickel steel. It seems that you have much more knowledge than Liao Fihong." Lin Fan couldn't help but look at Dongfang Ling with a new look. You know, if it wasn't for Old Wing telling him about this special material, he wouldn't have known about it at all, and the same was true for Liao Fihong and others. But Dongfang Ling took a look at the halberd in his hand and recognized that it was made of thunder nickel steel. Such knowledge and eyesight are really strong. "This halberd is mine." Dongfang Ling's eyes showed a firm look, and he looked at the halberd as if he was looking at his own things. "If it's yours, then come and take it. Let me see if you have the ability to take it away," Lin Fan said lightly. After the voice fell, Lin Fan didn't give Dongfang Ling a chance to speak, holding the halberd in his hand, and took the initiative to rush towards Dongfang Ling. This time, he wanted to launch an active attack and could no longer defend like he did just now. He wanted to let Dongfang Ling feel the power of the halberd. Lin Fan held the halberd in his hand, leaped up, appeared in the air, raised it high, aimed the halberd blade at Dongfang Ling's head, and chopped it down fiercely. Facing Lin Fan's attack, Dongfang Ling would not be careless at all. He knew that Lin Fan was not a good person and was not easy to deal with. He moved his body and moved to the left to avoid Lin Fan's attack. It must be said that the speed data of 16 did have a great advantage in speed. Lin Fan's attack was so fast, but Dongfang Ling was still able to successfully dodge it with speed. Lin Fan's body fell back to the ground, without any hesitation, holding the halberd in his hand and sweeping it away. The sharp halberd blade, under the sunlight, seemed to flash with a cold light, which made people feel cold. Dongfang Ling's eyes condensed, his knees slightly bent, and his body jumped up, jumping over the halberd blade of the halberd, avoiding Lin Fan's attack again. However, when he fell back to the ground, Lin Fan's offensive continued. For a moment, Lin Fan seemed to have a slight advantage and kept attacking. Dongfang Ling was not surprised by this. The weapon forged with thunder nickel steel was very strong in itself. In addition, Lin Fan's strength was not weak. It was reasonable for Lin Fan, who had a halberd, to have a great increase in combat power. He was just waiting for a suitable opportunity. This state lasted for about 10 minutes before a new change occurred. Lin Fan swung the halberd in his hand again, and Dongfang Ling dodged it with lightning speed. Then, he took a step and appeared in front of the halberd before Lin Fan launched the next attack with the halberd. He stretched out his hand and grabbed some positions behind the halberd blade, which was equivalent to grabbing the halberd together with Lin Fan. He planned to snatch the halberd directly from Lin Fan's hand. Your strength is not comparable to mine. Dongfang Ling grabbed the halberd, staring at Lin Fan, with a sneer in his face. Yes, I am indeed not as strong as you, but who says that brute force is enough to snatch things? Lin Fan sneered in return. What other tricks do you have? Dongfang Ling raised his eyebrows. Lin Fan did not answer Dongfang Ling's question, but his mind was secretly working on the dagger he carried, preparing to launch a surprise attack with the dagger to see if he could hurt Dongfang Ling. In fact, after he had just fought with Dongfang Ling with a halberd, he realized that Dongfang Ling's intention was to grab the halberd. After Dongfang Ling avoided the attack just now, he deliberately slowed down a beat and let Dongfang Ling grab the halberd, just to find an opportunity to attack with a hidden weapon. After all, Dongfang Ling's speed and reaction were very fast. With a halberd in his hand, although he could compete with Dongfang Ling for a short time and prevent Dongfang Ling from getting close to him in a short time, this kind of thing would inevitably not last long, and sooner or later Dongfang Ling would find a breakthrough. Therefore, after thinking about it, Lin Fan came up with such a method, deliberately letting Dongfang Ling grab the halberd, so that he could launch a sneak attack with a hidden weapon when he was not prepared. Give it to me. Dongfang Ling grabbed the halberd with his palm, sneered, and suddenly increased the strength of his palm, trying to forcibly take the halberd from Lin Fan's hand. If he competed with Dongfang Ling purely in strength, Lin Fan would definitely not be able to win. After all, Dongfang Ling's strength data was 2 points higher than his. How could he win with such a gap? However, Lin Fan did not let go, and still held the halberd tightly with his hand. However, at this critical moment, his mind moved, and the dagger that had been controlled long ago suddenly flew out from his waist and stabbed towards Dongfang Ling's arm at a lightning speed. The speed of controlling the dagger with a mind was extremely fast, and with such a close distance, even a fourth-level evolver like Dongfang Ling only saw a flash of white light in front of his eyes. By the time he completely reacted, the dagger had already appeared in front of his arm. Swish! The dagger slashed across his arm without mercy, and a bright red wound suddenly appeared, and the bright red also burst out from the wound. Hiss! The force of the dagger was not low at all, and it almost cut a wound about 2 or 3 centimeters deep on Dongfang Ling's hand, making Dongfang Ling gasp. The hand that was originally tightly holding the halberd, under the effect of the pain, also retracted it suddenly, not daring to hold it anymore. Because if he continued to hold it, the dagger would undoubtedly leave a deeper wound on his arm, causing his arm to suffer greater damage. Seeing that the sneak attack was effective, Lin Fan's eyes also showed a touch of extreme satisfaction. It seems that his ability is indeed quite practical. Chapter 359, Amazing Again. This is, compared to Lin Fan's satisfaction, Dongfang Ling was shocked and unbelievable except for the pain in his hand. He never thought that a dagger would suddenly fly out to attack his arm. Moreover, the speed of the dagger was very fast, so fast that he couldn't dodge it when he reacted, which led to the injury of his arm. Yet, brother Lin Fan actually injured that guy. Murin Shan had been paying attention to the situation on Lin Fan's side. When she saw Dongfang Ling injured, she almost jumped up and said, "Look, that guy's arm is bleeding a lot." Murin Zhu and Li Zihong just fought off 2 opponents from the Qinglong gang. When they heard Murin Shan say this, they looked towards Lin Fan and saw that Dongfang Ling's arm was bleeding. Dongfang Ling was fighting with Lin Fan, so it was impossible for him to hurt himself, which meant that the injury on his hand was left by Lin Fan. Little friend Lin's strength is too terrifying. Elderly Xianitun's face also showed a deep sense of shock. Dongfang Ling is a 4th-level evolver. A 4th-level evolver fought with Lin Fan and was actually injured by Lin Fan. If he could see the injury on Dongfang Ling's arm with his own eyes now, he would probably not believe it if someone told him. But now the facts are in front of him, and he can't help but believe it. Little friend Lin is really too powerful. The old man next to Li Xianitun also made a voice of emotion at this time. He admired Lin Fan's strength to the point of prostrating himself. Impossible. Liao Fihong's eyes were wide open, and he murmured, "How is this possible?" That kid is just a third-level evolver, how could he hurt a gang leader? Until this moment, Liao Fihong did not dare to accept this fact. In the past, when Dongfang Ling was still a third-level evolver, he had sparred with Dongfang Ling, but he was not Dongfang Ling's opponent at all. Dongfang Ling could defeat him in a few seconds. Now Dongfang Ling has become a level 4 evolver. There is no doubt that his strength has improved a lot compared to when he was a level 3 evolver. But even so, he was still injured by Lin Fan, which really made him feel extremely unacceptable. Great. Friends, did you see that? Brother Lin can really deal with Dongfang Ling, haha. Yes, so what if Dongfang Ling is a level 4 evolver? Wasn't he still injured by Brother Lin? Now you don't have to worry about Dongfang Ling anymore. Just hit him hard and beat him hard. Make them piss and run. These bastards thought they could do whatever they wanted just because Dongfang Ling was a level 4 evolver. Now they will know what it means that there are always people better than you. There are always people better than you. Dongfang Ling's injury undoubtedly attracted the attention of the entire battle circle in an instant. Everyone's eyes were focused on Dongfang Ling and Lin Fan. When the people on the alliance side saw Dongfang Ling injured, their mood and morale were raised to an unprecedented level. Before, they might have felt doubtful about the outcome of this battle, but at this moment, all their doubts were dispelled. Because Lin Fan used his strength to tell them that even if Dongfang Ling was a level 4 evolver, he was not an unbeatable existence. Dongfang Ling did not care about the gazes and discussions of the crowd, nor did he want to pay attention to them. He frowned tightly and looked at the dagger in front of Lin Fan's body. At this time, the dagger was still suspended in front of Lin Fan, very stable, without even the slightest shake. The most important thing is that there was no external object on the dagger to control its stability. This scene was the most shocking to Dongfang Ling. There was no external object acting on the dagger, so how did the dagger stay in front of Lin Fan steadily? Moreover, from here, it can be imagined that when the dagger attacked him just now, there was no external object controlling it. The dagger was equivalent to flying out of thin air, scratching his arm and flying back. Superpower. Suddenly, two words flashed through Dongfang Ling's mind. Yes, this is superpower. Dongfang Ling looked at Lin Fan with an extremely serious look, and asked word by word, you actually have the ability to control objects from a distance, although he himself does not have such a magical ability, it does not affect his knowledge that evolvers can obtain superpowers. The mysterious appearance of the dagger, the mysterious scratch, and the mysterious return. All these things cannot be explained by normal phenomena, which can only indicate one problem, that is, Lin Fan's superpower. You really have a lot of knowledge, even knowing about the superpower of controlling objects from a distance. Lin Fan smiled faintly, but he did not expect Dongfang Ling to be able to react in such a short time. After hearing Lin Fan's words, Dongfang Ling's shock and his heart became even stronger. Of course, accompanied by a strong murderous intent. The strength that Lin Fan had shown before was enough to prove that Lin Fan's growth potential was extremely terrifying. Now that he has the magical superpower of controlling objects from a distance, he must not let Lin Fan live, otherwise he will become a big worry for them sooner or later. Just now I didn't notice that there was a dagger in front of brother Lin Fan, I just noticed it now, Murin Shan said in surprise. I didn't expect brother Lin Fan to have awakened a superpower, and this superpower is so powerful. Yes, controlling objects from a distance, this superpower is really amazing, Li Zihan nodded. This means that you can manipulate objects at will, just use your mind to control them. The superpower that Lin Fan awakened is indeed strong, Muringzu nodded. No wonder he asked my grandfather if he had hidden weapons or something like that before. Now I understand, Li Zihan said. When Lin Fan asked before, she didn't think of going to this level, but Lin Fan didn't say it clearly, so she was naturally embarrassed to ask. Okay. I'll settle the score with brother Lin Fan later. He awakened such a powerful superpower and secretly practiced controlling hidden weapons without telling us, Murin Shan pouted, and the sarcasm in her tone was very strong. Seeing Murin Shan like this, coupled with that tone, Muringzu and Li Zihan looked at each other, and a helpless smile appeared on their faces. Little friend Lin is really a genius. Li Xianitun was also full of amazement, and couldn't help but praise, such a genius. I can't imagine how far he will grow in the future. I can only say that it is a great fortune for our alliance to have him on our side this time. The old man also sighed, and his admiration for Lin Fan could no longer be described in other words. Chapter 360 Give up struggling. The superpowers displayed by Lin Fan once again set off the atmosphere in the venue. Many people looked at Lin Fan with more than just admiration, but also with deep respect from the bottom of their hearts. Even though Lin Fan was younger than them, even several decades younger, his ability far exceeded theirs. Moreover, in the process of contacting Lin Fan, they also understood Lin Fan's humility. They had never seen Lin Fan give anyone a cold shoulder or put on a high-profile and difficult-to-approach look. They couldn't help but admire such an approachable and capable person. This bastard. How come he got all the benefits? After the initial shock, Liao Fihong began to curse in his heart. He was so young that he had the strength of a third-level evolver. He also had such a powerful weapon. Now he has shown such a terrible superpower. Liao Fihong couldn't compare to any of these three things. His current mood towards Lin Fan was not so much a murderous intent as it was jealousy to the point of being unrecognizable. It really fits the saying that there is no harm without comparison. Dongfang Ling continued to stare at Lin Fan, then he looked down at the wound on his arm. The blood was still flowing, but the speed of the flow had slowed down a lot, and it was not as continuous as at the beginning. This wound was not big, but not small either, and it would not have much impact on Dongfang Ling's combat effectiveness. After all, as a level 4 evolver like him, his physical fitness was already very strong, and he could withstand some minor injuries. Since the outbreak of the Doomsday, no one has been able to hurt me. You are the first to do it, and the last one. Dongfang Ling raised his head and looked at Lin Fan again with a cold gaze, saying, "Before, I was careless and didn't think you had the ability to control objects through the air. This time, I don't know how you can hurt me." At that moment just now, when Lin Fan used the dagger, it did have the effect of a sneak attack. If it was not a sneak attack, and he controlled the dagger to attack Dongfang Ling openly, Dongfang Ling would definitely dodge it. After all, Dongfang Ling's speed and reaction reached 16, which is a very high data. For example, when the dagger slashed Dongfang Ling's arm, if it was not aimed at the arm, but at the neck or heart, it would be very likely that Dongfang Ling would avoid it. Because Dongfang Ling's arm was straight at that time, there was a certain distance between his arm and his neck and heart. Although this distance was very short, it was enough for Dongfang Ling to dodge. Therefore, Lin Fan did not think that he could kill Dongfang Ling at that moment at first. He just wanted to hurt Dongfang Ling first. "It doesn't matter how I hurt you. What's important is that you can't kill me," Lin Fan looked at Dongfang Ling and said lightly. Hearing this, Dongfang Ling's eyes were more murderous, and he said coldly, "Bring me my weapon." "Yes," one person answered. Then, he quickly returned to the car and took out a silver-white spear, which felt like Zhao Ziling's weapon, the long and bright silver spear. The man took the spear in his hand and quickly ran to Dongfang Ling's side. "Boss, give it to me." Dongfang Ling stretched out his hand to grab the spear in his hand, and without saying a word, he rushed directly towards Lin Fan. Lin Fan took a closer look and found that the spear in Dongfang Ling's hand also reflected light under the sunlight. It seems to be a weapon made of thunder nickel steel. Lin Fan narrowed his eyes and thought to himself. However, it is certain that the thunder nickel steel used in the spear in Dongfang Ling's hand is definitely not as abundant as the thunder nickel steel used in the halberd in his hand. Moreover, this halberd was made by someone like Mr. Wang who has the ability to forge. In terms of the fineness of workmanship, the spear in Dongfang Ling's hand cannot be compared. So if the two weapons are really compared, Lin Fan's halberd is still better. It's just that Dongfang Ling's combat effectiveness will also be improved after he has this spear. This is beyond doubt. Seeing Dongfang Ling rushing over, Lin Fan was also fully prepared to fight the enemy. He held the halberd in his hand and swung it out, and it collided with the spear in Dongfang Ling's hand in midair. Ling. The collision of the halberd and the spear instantly made a clear and crisp sound, and sparks still flashed at the collision point. Buzz! After the collision, the halberd and the spear trembled, accompanied by a subtle trembling humming sound. Dongfang Ling had been avoiding Lin Fan's halberd attack before, but only now did he really collide with Lin Fan's halberd. At this time, he realized that the halberd in Lin Fan's hand was really strong, and he also believed the fact that Liao Fihong's sword was cut off by this halberd. There was no way, the halberd in Lin Fan's hand was too sharp. If it weren't for the powerful halberd he was holding, I'm afraid he wouldn't be able to resist for long. Clang. 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 The halberd and the spear kept colliding, and the crisp sound of metal colliding was endless. Those who were fighting, many of them looked over here from time to time. If they were not in a purely hostile relationship now, they really wanted to stop and watch the battle between Lin Fan and Dongfang Ling. This level of fighting can teach them a lot. Whoosh! While using the halberd to block Dongfang Ling's attack, Lin Fan's mind moved and he controlled the dagger to continue attacking Dongfang Ling. Dongfang Ling's expression froze, and he noticed the approach of the dagger. He quickly pulled back the halberd and quickly picked it up on the dagger to block the dagger's attack. At this moment, the dagger was also picked up and flew out. But Lin Fan's mind control was very fast, and before the dagger flew out of the range of 10 meters, it was controlled by his mind again. At the same time, Lin Fan also used the halberd to launch a counterattack, and chop down at Dongfang Ling from an angle above. Dongfang Ling naturally noticed it, and his body slightly turned, holding the halberd with one hand, and picked it up from the opposite direction, colliding with the halberd again. Clang! The collision of the two weapons will inevitably cause the sound of metal and iron. Neither side was able to gain the upper hand, and they separated again after the collision. However, to be honest, Lin Fan's palm was a little sore. Because Dongfang Ling was stronger, the recoil force of the two of them colliding with their weapons was quite strong. Just as the two sides continued to fight, suddenly, a group of people came from behind. The appearance of this group of people surprised everyone. Including Dongfang Ling. Everyone looked at them. Dongfang Ling, I advise you to give up struggling. Your headquarters base has been taken down by us. Li Changjin's voice slowly spread in the field. Chapter 361 Headquarters Base Lost. When Li Changjin's voice spread in the field, the atmosphere of the entire battlefield became quiet, and even the two sides stopped fighting tacitly at this time. The headquarters base was taken down? How is this possible? The first thought that emerged in the minds of the Qinglong gang was disbelief. But soon they realized a problem, that is, Li Changjin did not appear in the battle just now. Then there must be a reasonable explanation to explain where Li Changjin went. Dongfang Ling frowned, holding a spear in his hand, and also stopped fighting with Lin Fan, looking at Li Changjin. To be honest, he didn't see Li Changjin appear before, and didn't think about what Li Changjin did, but thought that Li Changjin might have been arranged by Li Xianun to the Fang family. After all, the Li family and the Fang family are allies, and it is normal to arrange people to help the Fang family. But now that Li Changjin said this, he couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. Did he really neglect something? Li Changjin, stop talking nonsense here. Do you still want to disturb our morale? Liao Fihong reacted from his initial gaze and shouted coldly. In his opinion, Li Changjin would never be able to take down their headquarters base. Now he suddenly said this, just to cause some psychological impact on them, so that their morale would drop during the battle. After hearing Liao Fihong's reminder, many people from the Qinglong gang came to their senses and felt that what Liao Fihong said made sense. Yes. Brothers, don't believe what he said, he just wants to affect our mood, haha, he has the nerve to use such a trick to embarrass himself. Do you really think we are easy to deceive? Don't mention it, I almost got fooled by him just now. He wants to affect our morale just because he can't beat us. It's ridiculous. Many people from the Qinglong gang talked at once. Li Changjin smiled disdainfully at these voices and said, What? Don't you believe what I said? Then look at this. As he spoke, Li Changjin reached into his pocket and took out a small sculpture that looked like a real person. On the surface, the small sculpture was a miniature version of a person, and it was made very delicately and vividly, giving people a vivid feeling. If someone has sharp eyes, then they will definitely be able to see at a glance that this small sculpture is somewhat similar to Dongfang Ling in appearance. Yes, this small sculpture was actually made according to the appearance of Dongfang Ling. Dongfang Ling had someone make this for him before the doomsday. After the doomsday broke out, he kept this small sculpture with him and did not discard it. He even placed it in the villa where he lived. Li Changjin led his men into the headquarters base of the Qinglong gang. After taking down the headquarters base, he went directly to the villa where Dongfang Ling lived and found this small sculpture in the villa. As for taking down the headquarters base, it can be said to be quite easy. Because, as Lin Fan judged, Dongfang Ling would not expect that they would arrange people to attack the headquarters base, and they would definitely not leave any powerful people in the headquarters base. Most of them are just ordinary people. Even if there are revolvers, their strength cannot be compared with Li Changjin and others. Therefore, from entering the headquarters base to taking over the headquarters base, Li Changjin and others spent less than an hour in total. After getting the small sculpture from Dongfang Ling's villa, Li Shangjin followed Lin Fan's arrangement and left some people in the headquarters base to watch, and he took some people to quickly return to Zhonghe City. That is, the boss's small sculpture. Yes, I was fortunate enough to go to the boss's villa before and saw the small sculpture with my own eyes. How could the small sculpture in the boss's villa be in Li Shangjin's hands? Could it be that our headquarters base has really fallen into their hands? Impossible. I absolutely don't believe this is true. How dare they sneak attack our headquarters base? If not, how do you explain that the small sculpture is in Li Shangjin's hands? The people of the Qinglong Gang continued to discuss fiercely. If they had returned to their normal state of mind after hearing Liao Fihong's words, then now after seeing the small sculpture in Li Shangjin's hand, their mentality has become even lower than before. At least more than 95% of them can be sure that their headquarters base has indeed been lost. Otherwise, Dongfangling's small sculpture should not appear in Li Shangjin's hands anyway. Liao Fihong stared at the small sculpture. He was the person who had been in and out of Dongfangling's villa the most times among all the people here, so he could naturally recognize the small sculpture. At this moment, a strong sense of disbelief surged in his heart. Dongfangling's sight was also locked on the small sculpture. No one was more familiar with the small sculpture than him. In this way, their headquarters base was indeed lost. Okay, you really gave me a big surprise today. I really didn't expect that under such circumstances, you dared to arrange people to sneak attack our headquarters base. This makes me have to look at you with new eyes. Dongfangling laughed in anger. He never expected this in his dreams. If he had expected it, he would not have left some strong men in the headquarters base. Dongfangling, we alone can't come up with such a good plan. I'm not afraid to tell you that this plan was proposed by little friend Lin. Li Xianyu looked at Dongfangling. Seeing Dongfangling's angry smile, he was in a good mood and said loudly, "Little friend Lin is sure that you guys won't guess that we have such courage, so he arranged for someone to go." Hearing this, Dongfangling took a deep breath and shifted his gaze from Li Changjin to Lin Fan. You must not live. The murderous intent in Dongfangling's eyes was unprecedentedly strong. The various abilities displayed by Lin Fan were too evil. If he let such a person survive, he would undoubtedly be unable to sleep or eat. Many people have said this to me before, but unfortunately, those who said this to me have all left this world. Facing the strong killing intent in Dongfangling's eyes, Lin Fan remained calm and fearless, saying lightly, "You are no exception. They are not alone on their journey. After all, you are with them." I really admire brother Lin Fan's ability to confront others. Hearing Lin Fan say this, Murin Sham couldn't help but chuckle. Murinzu and Li Zihan were in a similar mood. They really felt that Lin Fan's ability to confront others was very strong. Chapter 362 Two Hidden Weapons. Li Changjin's appearance and the news he brought back had a great impact on the people of the Qinglong Gang, causing their morale, which had been high, to plummet to the bottom in an instant. The battle between the two sides, after a brief pause, continued to break out. Liao Fihong's mood was also greatly affected, and he was already at a disadvantage in dealing with Li Xianyu and the other old man alone. Therefore, it didn't take long for Liao Fihong to fall into a disadvantageous position and be suppressed by Li Xianyu and the old man. The rest of the Qinglong Gang was in the same situation and was completely at a disadvantage. It must be said that the news of the fall of the base headquarters had a great impact on them. Ling. The crisp collision sound rang out again. Lin Fan and Dongfangling fought together again. The fight between the two of them could be said to be the most eye-catching in the whole scene. While Li Changjin joined the battlefield, he kept looking at the battle between Lin Fan and Dongfangling. Li Changjin quickly went to Li Zihan's side and asked, "Lin Fan's strength is really strong. He can fight with Dongfangling, a top level 3 evolver. To this extent, Dad, Dongfangling is no longer a top level 3 evolver, but a genuine level 4 evolver," Li Zihan corrected. What? Hearing what Li Zihan said, Li Changjin was stunned, and an incredible look appeared in his eyes. Dongfangling has broken through to the level 4 evolver. Yes, he has broken through, but Lin Fan can still deal with him, and before you came, Lin Fan also injured Dongfangling's arm. Look, there are traces of blood on Dongfangling's arm, Li Zihan said. When she said this, her tone was full of praise, as if she was happier than if she had injured Dongfangling herself. Li Changjin looked at Dongfangling's arm carefully, and indeed saw traces of blood on Dongfangling's arm. How did Lin Fan do it? Li Changjin asked in surprise. That's a level 4 evolver. Although he had never fought against a level 4 evolver, he could roughly guess how strong a level 4 evolver was by imagination. Lin Fan has awakened his supernatural power, which seems to be the ability to control objects remotely. Li Zihan pointed and said, "Dad, look, there is a dagger hanging in the air on the side of Lin Fan's body. That is what Lin Fan is controlling with his supernatural power." Hearing this, Li Shangjin hurriedly looked over and noticed that there was indeed a dagger hanging in the air on the right side of Lin Fan's body. Then, under Lin Fan's control, it flew towards Dongfang Ling at an extremely fast speed. It's really controlling objects remotely. Li Shangjin was even more shocked. Yes, it's all thanks to Lin Fan that he can deal with Dongfang Ling. Otherwise, with the strength of Dongfang Ling, a level 4 evolver, no one on our side can deal with him. Li Zihan praised him generously. Li Shangjin nodded and said, "Well, Lin Fan's strength and potential are simply the strongest among the people I know." At this moment, Li Shangjin felt that it was entirely possible for Lin Fan to become a giant who dominated the world in the future. After all, it was really hard to imagine that Lin Fan could reach that point with such potential. Let's defeat the rest of them as soon as possible. In this way, if the battle on Lin Fan's side is not over by then, we can still provide help, Li Shangjin said in a deep voice. Okay, Li Zihan nodded. And the father and daughter stopped talking and devoted themselves to the battle. Although Li Shangjin only brought back more than 10 people, this was a big change for the situation on the field. Especially since Li Shangjin had reached the peak of the second level evolver and was only one step away from being promoted to the third level evolver, his strength could be said to be quite extraordinary. In this way, the defeat of the Qinglong gang was undoubtedly more obvious. Ling. The battle between Lin Fan and Dongfang Ling also entered a white-hot stage at this time. The eyes of the two looking at each other were filled with strong murderous intent. Lin Fan did not want Dongfang Ling to survive, and Dongfang Ling did not want Lin Fan to survive. Therefore, the attacks they launched could be said to be vital. Whoosh! Whoosh! The dagger, under the control of Lin Fan's mind, continuously attacked Dongfang Ling. Every time it flew out, it could make a piercing sound of breaking through the air. Dongfang Ling had the opportunity to injure Lin Fan several times, but every time at a critical moment, the dagger appeared, forcing him to stop the prepared attack and use the spear to pick up the dagger to avoid being hurt. After all, under Lin Fan's control, the dagger can be as flexible as it wants, and the attack power is also quite strong. Once it is really attacked by the dagger, it will inevitably leave injuries on the body. Dongfang Ling had just been scratched on the arm by the dagger, and he did not want to face the result of being injured again. The battle continued. Lin Fan's eyes flickered, and he thought to himself, if this trend continues, although he has no chance to hurt me, I can't hurt him anymore. It seems that I have to use the second hidden weapon. After a fierce fight, Lin Fan had already made a rough judgment. With the help of the halberd and the dagger, he could barely deal with Dongfang Ling, but it could only maintain this. It was impossible to hurt Dongfang Ling again. Therefore, he had to add more power. Thinking of this, Lin Fan did not hesitate. His mind moved slightly, and the darts on his body flashed out, and attacked Dongfang Ling from the left and right with a dagger. Huh? Dongfang Ling's face couldn't help but change. He didn't expect Lin Fan to be able to control two objects at the same time. Although he didn't have the ability like Lin Fan, he also knew what the term two minds at once meant. Using the mind to control two objects at the same time is the same as asking someone to draw a square with the left hand and a circle with the right hand. Both are difficult to do. Lin Fan did it, and he controlled it so skillfully. The speed of the dart flying out was exactly the same as that of the dagger, and there was not much difference. Clang! Clang! Facing the attack of the dagger and the dart, Dongfang Ling did not dare to be careless at all. He swung the spear quickly, and the tip of the spear was picked on the dagger and the dart respectively. With two crisp sounds, the dagger and the dart were picked up and flew out. At the same time, Lin Fan attacked from the front with a long halberd in his hand. Dongfang Ling frowned, and his body could not help but retreat at this moment. This was the first time he chose to retreat in a fight with Lin Fan, because Lin Fan's long halberd attack was extremely fierce, and he had no choice but to retreat. Chapter 363, Steel Needle Piercing the Bone. Dongfang Ling dodged Lin Fan's attack after retreating a certain distance. He looked at Lin Fan with extremely gloomy eyes and said in a cold voice, "You can control two hidden weapons to such an extent. I really underestimated your strength before, don't say that." "I'm afraid I will be proud," Lin Fan replied with a smile. After the voice fell, he did not give Dongfang Ling a chance to speak again. He moved his body and continued to swing the long halberd to attack. At the same time, the dagger and dart that were picked out, under the control of his mind, attacked Dongfang Ling from the left and right. Counting Lin Fan's frontal attack, this is equivalent to an attack from 3 directions. Dongfang Ling also felt a certain pressure to deal with it. After all, the attacks from these 3 directions are very fierce and powerful. If he is not careful, he may get hurt. On the other side, Liao Fihong is dealing with a double attack of Li Xianyun and the old man. For Liao Fihong, this is definitely a very difficult challenge. Before, he thought that Dongfang Ling would deal with Lin Fan quickly, and then come to help him deal with Li Xianyun and the old man. But no one expected that Lin Fan's strength was unexpectedly strong, and even Dongfang Ling, a level 4 evolver, could not defeat Lin Fan. The most important thing is that Lin Fan's strength is getting stronger and stronger. Just now he was only controlling a dagger, and now he is controlling a dart. 2 hidden weapons, plus a long halberd, even Dongfang Ling had to retreat to deal with it. In this situation, Liao Fihong knew very well that he could not count on Dongfang Ling's help in a short time. But without Dongfang Ling's help, he would not be able to defeat Li Xianyun and the old man. In fact, at this time, he was completely at a disadvantage, and was already beaten by Li Xianyun and the old man, and he also had a lot of injuries on his body. Even if these injuries would not directly take his life, they would eventually cause his condition to get worse and worse, and it would only be a matter of time before he was completely defeated by Li Xianyun and the old man. Bang! Bang! Li Xianyun and the old man launched attacks continuously, not giving Liao Fihong any chance to breathe. Liao Fihong's 2 fists were no match for 4 hands. He could resist some attacks each time, but other attacks also fell on him, and dull sounds were heard from time to time. Bang! Bang! After this situation continued for 5 minutes, a decisive change finally occurred. Li Xianyun and the old man opened their fists left and right. When Liao Fihong didn't react, their fists hit Liao Fihong at the same time. The power contained in these 2 fists was not low at all. After hitting, Liao Fihong felt that his bones were about to break. Puff! A mouthful of bright red blood could not help but spit out from Liao Fihong's mouth. His body was obviously seriously injured by the attack of the 2 fists. Bang! Li Xianyun was quick-witted and seized the opportunity. He raised his foot and kicked Liao Fihong in the stomach. Under the force of this kick, Liao Fihong's body flew backwards like a kite with a broken string. It flew more than 10 meters before falling back to the ground from midair. At the moment it fell back to the ground, it rolled on the ground for several circles before stopping. Liao Fihong's face turned pale in an instant. And it looked like there was not much blood in it. Liao Fihong looked at Li Xianyun and the old man with reluctance in his eyes. He wanted to say something harsh, but he still couldn't say it when he got to his lips. Because the battle itself only looks at the result and not the process. Can he still say that it is unfair for Li Xianyun and the old man to bully the weak with more people? If such words were said, it would undoubtedly make people laugh. Liao Fihong, today is the day you die. Li Xianyun locked his eyes on Liao Fihong coldly, and there was a hint of grimness in his tone. He didn't have much bad feelings towards Liao Fihong, but unfortunately, they were destined to be enemies. He and Lin Fan had the same attitude towards their enemies, and they would never be soft-hearted, especially when it came to an enemy like Liao Fihong who was like a venomous snake. Even if you were kind to this kind of enemy, he might bite you back one day when you weren't paying attention. Therefore, Liao Fihong had to die today. Haha, your deputy gang leader has been defeated. How long do you think you can hold on? Lin Fan was facing Liao Fihong and Li Xianyun. During the fight with Dongfang Ling, he clearly saw Liao Fihong being knocked to the ground by Li Xianyun and the others, and he couldn't help but smile and said. Hearing Lin Fan's words, Dongfang Ling subconsciously looked back and saw that Liao Fihong had indeed fallen to the ground, and his face was as pale as it could be, which clearly showed that he was seriously injured. Here comes the opportunity. Seeing Dongfang Ling turn around to pay attention to Liao Fihong's condition, Lin Fan was suddenly delighted. He said that just now, of course, not just to remind Dongfang Ling to care about Liao Fihong's injury, the real purpose was to distract Dongfang Ling. Only when Dongfang Ling was distracted, he could find a better breakthrough and defeat Dongfang Ling. And now, it was the best time to attack. His mind moved again, and the steel needle flew out of his body, spinning at high speed and stabbing towards Dongfang Ling. Dongfang Ling was a smart man. He knew that Liao Fihong was defeated and became a fact, so he didn't pay too much attention to it. After all, he had to deal with Lin Fan now. When Lin Fan controlled two hidden weapons at the same time, he wanted to withdraw to help Liao Fihong deal with Li Xiannian and the others. Just as he turned around, he felt a pressing chill rushing towards him. Not good. The body's instinctive sensitivity made him say in his heart that it was not good. That was a signal of danger. He didn't think too much about it, and immediately stepped on the ground with his feet, trying to move his body to the side to avoid the attack with chill. Unfortunately, his speed was still a little slow. Before he could completely avoid it, the steel needle controlled by Lin Fan had already arrived in front of him. Then, the steel needle pierced his arm fiercely, and with a clang, it pierced into the bone, piercing some of his arm bones. Moreover, this was the case when he quickly reacted to move his body to the side. If not, the steel needle would definitely pierce his heart and end his life immediately. The pain caused by the steel needle piercing into the bone made Dongfang Ling scream uncontrollably. This kind of pain was too much for him to bear even if he was a 4th level evolver and even if he was as hard as steel. Big beads of sweat immediately appeared on his forehead and slid down his cheeks. Chapter 364, Breaking Through is as difficult as ascending to heaven. Sweat dripped down, soaking his back, and Dongfang Ling's face turned a little pale at this time. He would never have thought that Lin Fan could do 3 things at once. In other words, after controlling the dagger and the dart, Lin Fan could also control the steel needle at the same time, which was far beyond Dongfang Ling's expectations. Moreover, it was fortunate that he had a little sense just now and dodged a little distance, otherwise, the steel needle would have pierced his heart, and he would have died. Hearing Dongfang Ling's screams, everyone's eyes also hurriedly looked over, and this sight also made them a little shocked. They also did not expect that there would be such a conspicuous steel needle stuck in Dongfang Ling's arm. Brother Lin is amazing, it's really amazing. How can anyone else control 3 objects at the same time with supernatural powers? Brother Lin can do 3 things at the same time. I won't be surprised if Brother Lin does anything extraordinary in the future, haha. It looks like if this continues, it won't be long before Dongfang Ling will be taken down by Brother Lin. Yes, he has 2 injuries on his body now, and the degree of this injury is definitely much more serious than before. From this moment on, Dongfang Ling can no longer be Brother Lin's opponent. Everyone started a heated discussion. Dongfang Ling's injury this time made them all feel very happy, and they were as happy as they could be. Lin Fan didn't care about what everyone said. His eyes fell on Dongfang Ling, and then his mind moved again. The steel needle was pulled out of Dongfang Ling's arm and quickly flew back to his side. The steel needle was pulled out from the pierced arm bone, which naturally brought pain to Dongfang Ling again. The sweat on his face couldn't stop, and he screamed again. Do you still want to kill me? Lin Fan asked calmly. At this moment, around his body, daggers, darts and steel needles were floating steadily, like 3 little guardian gods. These words were extremely harsh to Dongfang Ling's ears. After all, he had said before that he would kill Lin Fan and would never let Lin Fan live, but now he was beaten by Lin Fan repeatedly, and his injuries were getting worse and worse. This was undoubtedly an act of slapping himself in the face. Dongfang Ling gritted his teeth, stared at Lin Fan, and said coldly, "You are lucky today. When we meet again next time, it will definitely be your death." Yes, at this time, Dongfang Ling had already had the idea of retreating in his heart. He was injured continuously, especially the injury caused by the steel needle piercing his arm bone, which was much more serious, so that he didn't have the strength to hold a weapon in his arm. If he continued to fight, he would only be consumed by Lin Fan, and he might even lose his life in Lin Fan's hands. He was very clear about this. He was able to get to where he is today, and he was definitely not a reckless person. He knew when to make what decisions. So, at this moment, he had to choose to retreat and could not continue to fight with Lin Fan. As the saying goes, if you keep the Green Mountains, you will never worry about firewood. He must first ensure that he is alive. It was not easy to become a 4th level evolver. If he died like this, it would be a pity. See you next time. Hearing Dongfang Ling's words, Lin Fan smiled coldly and said, "You mean, you can still leave here today, boy? If I want to leave, do you think you can stop me?" Dongfang Ling's eyes flashed with a fierce light. He admitted that he did not expect Lin Fan to have such a powerful ability to control 3 hidden weapons to deal with him at the same time. In terms of strength, he may not be as strong as Lin Fan, But in the fight just now, he can be 100% sure that Lin Fan's speed cannot match his. If he wants to leave, Lin Fan can't catch up with him. He still has this confidence. If I let you go, I'd be a fool, Lin Fan sneered and said, today, you must stay alive. After he finished speaking, Lin Fan no longer gave Dongfang Ling time. He moved and rushed towards Dongfang Ling. His speed data was 14, and Dongfang Ling's speed data was 16. In terms of speed, he really couldn't beat Dongfang Ling. Therefore, he couldn't let Dongfang Ling and him get away from each other. Once the distance was pulled away, he really couldn't catch up and could only watch Dongfang Ling escape. He wanted Dongfang Ling to appear within 10 meters of him, so that he could control the dagger, darts and steel needles to deal with Dongfang Ling. Dongfang Ling didn't expect Lin Fan to move as soon as he said, but he didn't have anything to worry about. What he had to do next was to retreat. He didn't believe that Lin Fan could keep him. Whoosh! 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 When Dongfang Ling was preparing to retreat, Lin Fan had already appeared within 10 meters of him. With a thought, he immediately controlled the dagger, darts and steel needles to fly out, making 3 piercing sounds of breaking through the air, and attacked Dongfang Ling at a lightning speed. In fact, the speed of controlling the hidden weapons with a mind was, to some extent, faster than the speed of 16 data. Although Dongfang Ling did not want to pay attention to the 3 hidden weapons and only wanted to focus on retreating, he quickly rejected this idea. Because the 3 hidden weapons caught up with him in a blink of an eye and appeared behind him. The dagger and dart locked onto his back, and the steel needle flew to the front of his body, blocking his retreat. In this way, Dongfang Ling was in a state of being attacked from both sides. He could not move forward or retreat, so he had to deal with the 3 hidden weapons. He had no choice but to grab the spear with his other uninjured hand and began to counterattack the 3 hidden weapons. Clang! 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 3 consecutive crisp collisions sounded, and the dagger, darts and steel needles were all repelled by the spear. But it can be seen that the serious injury to one hand still had a great impact on Dongfang Ling's condition. He was not so flexible in his movements, and the strength of the spear attack was not as strong as before. After repelling the dagger, darts and steel needles, Dongfang Ling wanted to retreat without any lingering fight. Unfortunately, Lin Fan's mind was faster, and the dagger, darts and steel needles attacked Dongfang Ling again. Even Lin Fan himself rushed forward with a long halberd in his hand and launched a new round of fierce attacks on Dongfang Ling. This instantly put Dongfang Ling into an extremely passive state, and his face became more and more ugly. In this case, he seemed to be really blocked by Lin Fan and the 3 hidden weapons. It was as difficult as ascending to heaven to break out. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 365, Killing Dongfang Ling. Liao Fihong, who fell to the ground, had lost the ability to fight. He looked angry, and looked a little pitiful. However, everyone knew that such a person was not worthy of pity. Someone come, Li Xianyun swept his eyes across the field and shouted. Family head, 2 members of the Li family immediately came to Li Xianyun. Watch him, Li Xianyun ordered. Yes, the 2 members of the Li family nodded. Li Xianyun knew that Liao Fihong had lost the ability to fight. Although the person who came to watch him was only a first-level evolver, he was not worried about any unexpected situation. Liao Fihong was the deputy leader of the Qinglong gang, and there was some grudge between him and Lin Fan. He decided to hand Liao Fihong over to Lin Fan for disposal. Brother Li, should we go over to help Lin Fan? The old man next to him glanced at Liao Fihong, then retracted his gaze and looked at Li Xianyun. Hearing the old man's question, Li Xianyun fixed his eyes on the battle between Lin Fan and Dongfang Ling. After a moment, he shook his head and said, Dongfang Ling has been injured by Lin Xiaoyao, and now he is trapped by 3 hidden weapons controlled by Lin Fan with his supernatural power. It is impossible for Dongfang Ling to break out. I think we don't need to help Lin Xiaoyao, but we should help the others first. It won't be too late to capture all the other members of the Qinglong gang. Li Xianyun's analysis made sense. He could see that Dongfang Ling was already at the end of his strength at this time, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that he was trapped in a jar. In this case, it would be a bit redundant for the 2 of them to help Lin Fan deal with Dongfang Ling. If they had this time, they could first capture the rest of the Qinglong gang members. This would be the most efficient way. The old man thought about it and felt that what Li Xianyun said was right. He nodded without hesitation and said, "Okay, then let's go and take down the rest of the people first." After the voice fell, Li Xianyun and the old man did not delay any more time. They moved and joined the rest of the battle circle. The joining of the two of them can be said to have directly led to the collapse of the rest of the Qinglong gang. After all, except for Liao Fihuang and Dong Fangling, there are no third-level evolvers among the people from the Qinglong gang who came here, and Li Xianyun and the old man are both third-level evolvers. For the rest of the people, this is a kind of strength-crushing, and there is no suspense at all. Bang! Bang! Li Xianyun and the old men were like wolves entering a flock of sheep. Wherever they passed, the people of the Qinglong gang fell to the ground. Of course, in this kind of battle, neither of them killed them directly, but just knocked them down. After all, these people are now enemies with them because of Dongfangling. Once Dongfangling is wiped out by Lin Fan, they are likely to abandon the dark and join the light. Human resources in the doomsday are very important. As long as these people are really willing to turn over a new leaf, they can be given a chance. 10 minutes later, due to the participation of Li Xianyun and the old man, except for Dongfangling, all the other members of the Qinglong gang were knocked to the ground. Now, everyone's eyes were locked on Lin Fan and Dongfangling, and they were reluctant to even blink, for fear that they would miss some important scenes if they blinked. Clang! 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 In the field, the battle between Lin Fan and Dongfangling continued to be fierce, and the sound of collisions was endless. However, Dongfangling's combat effectiveness had decreased a lot due to his injuries. In the past 10 minutes, he was scratched several times by 3 hidden weapons controlled by Lin Fan. Although these injuries were not enough to take his life directly, they would make his body suffer more and more injuries. Blood gradually stained Dongfangling's clothes red. Dongfangling could clearly see that the rest of the people he brought with him were all taken down, which made him feel both resentful and powerless. What he resented was that this battle, which should have been a complete victory for them without any suspense, had changed the situation because of Lin Fan's appearance. What he felt helpless about was that Lin Fan was really strong, and with the help of his supernatural powers, he couldn't even escape now. "What you are doing now is truly useless." Lin Fan's eyes flashed, and a mocking expression appeared on his face. Dongfangling was so angry that his face turned blue. He made up his mind and thought to himself, "Since I can't escape, I might as well fight him to the death. If he wants me to die, I have to drag him down with me. I must not let him get away with it for nothing." With this idea, Dongfangling decided to go all out and fight Lin Fan to the death. He held the spear in one hand, and he was no longer defensive, but began to launch a desperate counterattack, trying to injure Lin Fan in the shortest possible time. Seeing Dongfangling's performance, Lin Fan was very happy. The purpose of what he said just now was to stimulate Dongfangling and make him fall into a state of rage, so that Dongfangling would reveal some negligence. In this way, it would be easier for him to kill Dongfangling. The fact was just as he guessed. Dongfangling, in a rage, did show some carelessness, and soon forgot that the long halberd in his hand was also an extremely sharp weapon. After Dongfangling broke 3 hidden weapons in a row, he stabbed Lin Fan in the heart with a long halberd. Lin Fan's eyes focused, and when he saw the right opportunity, he swung the long halberd and attacked the long halberd. He first picked up the tip of the long halberd, then moved his body to the side a little, and then chopped down with the long halberd at the fastest speed. Crack! Dongfangling did not avoid the attack of the long halberd, but chopped it steadily on Dongfangling's shoulder. The sharp halberd blade directly broke Dongfangling's shoulder bone, making a cracking sound of bones breaking. Dongfangling screamed in pain like a pig being slaughtered. The severe pain made him no longer have the strength to hold the spear tightly in his hand, causing it to fall to the ground. At this time, Dongfangling spurted out a mouthful of blood, which sprayed on the halberd, making the halberd look more ferocious. Dongfangling stared at Lin Fan and opened his mouth, wanting to say something. Tisk, tisk, tisk. However, before he could finish his words, Lin Fan used his mind to control the dagger, darts and steel needles to attack together. The 3 hidden weapons landed on Dongfangling accurately. These 3 attacks were absolutely fatal. Even though Dongfangling was a 4th-level evolver with a strong vitality, he could not bear such damage at all. Dongfangling's breath quickly became weak. After about 3 seconds, his breath was completely cut off, and he no longer had a heartbeat or breath. Bang! Lin Fan's mind moved, and he pulled out the 3 hidden weapons from Dongfang Ling's body. Then he pulled the long spear out from Dongfang Ling's shoulder with his hand. Dongfang Ling's body fell backwards and fell to the ground in an instant. Chapter 366 Surrender and Live. As Dongfang Ling fell to the ground, everyone knew that the leader of the Qinglong gang, who had entered the level of a 4th level evolver, had completely left this world. From then on, Dongfang Ling would no longer exist. The atmosphere in the field was silent for a moment, and then it instantly became hot. Good. Good kill. Brother Lin is really great. Yes, Brother Lin, I admire you so much. Dongfang Ling, this arrogant guy, deserves this end. Haha, Brother Lin's actions are simply gratifying. Once Dongfang Ling dies, the Qinglong gang will be completely finished. We don't have to worry about being oppressed and excluded anymore. Everyone cheered. Most of these voices were sincere praises for Lin Fan. You know, the battle between Lin Fan and Dongfang Ling was completely handled by Lin Fan alone, and no one from them helped. Lin Fan killed Dongfang Ling, a 4th level evolver, with the strength of a 3rd level evolver. This is simply a model of a cross-level challenge. This battle made them very happy and very enjoyable. Little friend Lin, there is another one here. Li Xianun was naturally full of admiration and respect for Lin Fan. He walked in front of Lin Fan and pointed at Liao Fihong on the ground. Lin Fan looked at Liao Fihong, and Liao Fihong also looked at Lin Fan, and their eyes met. Do you know why you are not qualified to fight with me? Lin Fan smiled faintly. I know. Liao Fihong nodded quickly and begged for mercy in a weak tone. Don't kill me. I am willing to surrender. I am willing to submit to you, and I will do whatever you tell me to do in the future. Dongfang Ling was his biggest support. Now that Dongfang Ling was wiped out by Lin Fan, it was equivalent to losing his biggest support. In his opinion, if he wanted to survive, he had to beg for mercy. Obviously, Lin Fan was the strongest person here. Even if the alliance was not founded by Lin Fan, these people, including Li Xianun, would definitely listen to Lin Fan's words. If Lin Fan didn't kill him, then Li Xianun and others would definitely not dare to kill him. Therefore, he had to beg Lin Fan to spare his life. Although you are a level 3 evolver with great strength, have you ever thought that the Dongfang Ling I just killed is a level 4 evolver with stronger strength than you? Lin Fan sneered disdainfully. If I need a lackey, then wouldn't it be better for me to keep Dongfang Ling than you? Why do I need you as a lackey? Being called a lackey by Lin Fan, Liao Fihong's face almost turned green, but at this time, he didn't dare to talk back to Lin Fan and could only endure it silently. I swear, I will never do anything to betray you. I just ask you to give me a chance to live. I will definitely listen to your orders in the future. Liao Fihong lowered his head and said, he just wanted to live now, and didn't want to die like this. I don't need you to listen to my orders. Lin Fan shook his head and smiled, saying, okay, don't say any more nonsense. Save some energy to catch up with Dongfang Ling's footsteps, so that you can have a companion and won't be so lonely on the road to the underworld. After speaking, Lin Fan nodded to Li Xianun. Li Xianun naturally understood what Lin Fan meant. With a flash of murderous intent in his eyes, he said, kill him. Yes, the 2 Li family members nodded in response to Li Xianun's order, and then took action to end Liao Fihong's life. After they finished all this, Lin Fan's eyes swept over the Qinglong gang members lying on the ground, and said loudly, Dongfang Ling and Liao Fihong are both dead. To put it bluntly, your Qinglong gang is completely finished. Now I can give you a chance. If you surrender, you can be spared from death. If you don't surrender, you will be sent to catch up with Dongfang Ling and Liao Fihong. We surrender, we surrender, we surrender. 3 consecutive shouts came out of these people without any hesitation. This was really a pleasant surprise for them. After all, Lin Fan was willing to kill even Dongfang Ling, a level 4 evolver, and Liao Fihong, a level 3 evolver. They thought that in Lin Fan's eyes, they were even more worthless, and they were ready to die. Who would have thought that Lin Fan would give them a chance to live? If they didn't seize this opportunity, they would be too stupid. The most important thing is that the strength shown by Lin Fan really made them admire him. A man of insight is a hero, and they don't need to go against Lin Fan. Anyway, Dongfang Ling and Liao Fihong didn't say that they would give them much benefit. Instead, they kept helping to search for supplies and expand their territory. They didn't have much loyalty to Dongfang Ling and Liao Fihong. Lin Fan knew this, so he would give them a chance after getting rid of Dongfang Ling and Liao Fihong. He believed that they were all truly surrendering and submitting, and had no other bad intentions. Although we have killed some evolvers just now, there are still more than 200 who have surrendered. This is a huge force, Murengzu said. Yes, there are so many evolvers, and our base doesn't have them, Murengshan nodded and said. Sister Zhu, Xiaohan, these people who surrendered naturally belong to your base, Li Zihan said with a smile. Huh? Li Zihan's words made Murengzu and Murengshan slightly stunned. Li Zihan explained, the victory of this battle is still Lin Fan's credit. If Lin Fan hadn't dealt with Dongfang Ling, we would have been defeated by them. These people who are willing to surrender are completely convinced by Lin Fan's strength, so, these people belong to your team. Li Zihan knew very well that if Lin Fan hadn't eliminated Dongfang Ling, then with the strength of Dongfang Ling's 4th level evolver, he would definitely kill them all. Without Lin Fan, there would be no victory in this battle. She could also see that these people who surrendered were convinced by Lin Fan. Murengzu didn't expect Li Zihan to be so conscious. She smiled and said, it depends on what Lin Fan decides. Yes, Sister Zihan, let's see what Brother Lin Fan decides. Murengshan followed. Lin Fan didn't know what the 3 girls were talking about at this time. After all, he was not close to them. Master Li, the battle here is over, but we don't know the situation at the Fang family yet. I think, if possible, you should take someone to the Fang family to take a look. Lin Fan looked at Li Xianun and said. Okay, I'll take someone there right away. Hearing Lin Fan's words, Li Xianun nodded and agreed without hesitation. Chapter 367 Taking People to Fang's House. Although Lin Fan also had confidence in the Fang family's battle situation, for the sake of safety, it would be safest to let Li Xianun take people to take a look. No matter what, it is always right to be cautious. By the way, Master Li, take the bodies of Dongfang Ling and Liao Fihong with you. Let Yan Xiaobing and others see that Dongfang Ling and Liao Fihong are dead. I think their fighting power will be more than half of the zombies. It will be easier to deal with them at that time. Let's take the same method and get rid of the 3rd level evolvers like Yan Xiaobing first, Lin Fan reminded. Hearing Lin Fan's instructions, Li Xianun nodded and said, okay, then. He looked at the Li family and ordered, take the bodies of Dongfang Ling and Liao Fihong. Brother Lin, just as Li Xianun and others were about to take the bodies of Dongfang Ling and Liao Fihong to the Fang family, a voice suddenly spread. Lin Fan looked towards the source of the voice. The person who spoke was a 35-year-old man. He was originally a member of the Qinglong gang and had just chosen to surrender. Although he was more than 10 years older than Lin Fan, the strength shown by Lin Fan had completely convinced him, so he directly called Lin Fan brother. What do you want? Lin Fan asked with a faint smile. The other party had already chosen to surrender, which was equivalent to being one of his own. Naturally, he would not put on any fierce attitude. I have a suggestion, the middle-aged man said. You say? Lin Fan nodded. I want to go to the Fang family with the head of the Li family and persuade the rest of our brothers to surrender. Maybe the effect will be better, the middle-aged man said. Oh, Lin Fan frowned slightly, and after a while, he asked, what was your position in the Qinglong gang before? When asking this question, Lin Fan had already used the ring to read the other party's data information. Species, human level, level 2 speed. 11 strength. 11 reaction. 11 special power. None. Judging from the data information, this middle-aged man is a top-level level 2 evolver. Among level 2 evolvers, his strength is quite good. I used to be the head of the Qinglong gang, and I was the leader of many heads. The middle-aged man took a deep breath and said slowly, if I follow them, there will still be many people who will trust me. As long as Yan Xiaobing and the other 2 are captured, I can guarantee that they will surrender 100% willingly. The middle-aged man was full of confidence when he said this. This is exactly what Lin Fan is optimistic about. He appreciates confident men. Okay, since you have such a good idea, then you can go on vacation with Patriarch Li and the others. Lin Fan quickly nodded and agreed. Thank you, Brother Lin, I won't let you down. A smile appeared on the middle-aged man's face, and he quickly thanked him. He really surrendered sincerely, but he also knew that after he came to Lin Fan's side, he still had to perform well in order to gain Lin Fan's appreciation. This time, it could be considered a good opportunity for him to perform, so he naturally had to seize it. Yes, Lin Fan nodded, looked at Li Xianun, and said, Master Li, Let him go with you, we will wait for your good news here. No problem. Li Xianyun nodded again, glanced at the middle-aged man, and said with a smile, get in the car. Li Xianyun and others did not waste any more time, returned to the car, and drove towards the Fang family. After they left, everyone's eyes were focused on Lin Fan again. It was obvious that they had already regarded Lin Fan as the backbone, and there was a feeling that Lin Fan was the leader. Li Zihan didn't mind this phenomenon at all. After all, everything Lin Fan showed was really admirable from the bottom of her heart. Even she herself felt that Lin Fan was very suitable to be a leader. Feeling the gazes of the crowd, Lin Fan said calmly, everyone, today's battle here is over. Next, let's clean up the battlefield here and wait for good news from the head of the Li family. Yes, everyone answered in unison, and then they got busy, and began to clean up the battlefield here according to Lin Fan's instructions. This is always outside the Li family branch. The battle just now has made this place full of blood and piled up some corpses. They have to clean them up. Lin Fan walked towards Li Zihan, Murongsu and Muringshan, and soon came in front of the three girls. Before Lin Fan could speak, he heard Muringshan say, Brother Lin Fan, you are so mean. What? Lin Fan was stunned by Muringshan's words, and he really didn't understand what Muringshan meant. Muringshan rolled her eyes at Lin Fan in displeasure and complained, you awakened your superpowers, but you didn't tell us. You practiced so well in secret. If Dongfangling hadn't come to kill you today, how long would you have kept it a secret from us? Haha, you're talking about this. Lin Fan was amused by Muringshan. He didn't expect that Muringshan was talking about this question. What else? Muringshan continued to roll her eyes. Okay, it's my fault. I should have kept it from you. I will review it, Lin Fan said with a smile. He naturally knew that Muringshan said that jokingly, so it's okay for him to cooperate. Muringshan chuckled and didn't roll her eyes again. Seeing this scene, Li Zihan and Muringshan shook their heads helplessly. Lin Fan, to be honest, your strength is really admirable. Dongfangling, a level 4 evolver, was eliminated. This is not only beyond my expectations, but I believe it is also beyond everyone's expectations. Li Zihan took a breath and said with some emotion. Lin Fan's performance today really surprised her. In response to Li Zihan's praise, Lin Fan smiled and said, it's mainly because I awakened my superpowers. If it weren't for my superpowers, I would definitely not be able to be a match for Dongfangling. After all, he has become a 4th level evolver and his own strength is very strong. Lin Fan was telling the truth. If he didn't have the superpower to control objects through the air today, he would never have been able to defeat Dongfangling, let alone kill him. And, fortunately, he practiced his superpowers diligently and learned to control 3 hidden weapons, otherwise he would not have been able to control Dongfangling's retreat. It was precisely because of the high degree of coordination of the 3 hidden weapons that a 4th level evolver like Dongfangling could not retreat successfully. After the few of them continued to chat about this topic for a while, Lin Fan turned his gaze to the Li family branch and said, let's go back and rest first. We are a little tired from today's battle. Chapter 368 Unless you see it with your own eyes. Outside the Fang family, the battle was still going on fiercely. Tian Xiaobing didn't expect that Fang Yongtan and the others were so strong that they could fight them evenly. Originally, in his guess, he should be able to quickly take down Fang Yongtan and the others with so many people, but the result was somewhat unexpected. Not only did he fail to quickly take down Fang Yongtan and the others, but the battle became stalemate. You know, if there are no other factors, it is difficult to change this stalemate. Do we have to wait for the gang leader to come to support? Tian Xiaobing frowned while fighting with Fang Yongtan. He really wanted to use this battle to make great contributions so as to continue to consolidate his position as the deputy gang leader of the Qinglong gang. If he had to wait for Dongfangling to bring people over to end the battle, it would be equivalent to not having any credit from him. He was not willing to accept this result. However, no matter how unwilling he was, he had no other way to change the current situation. Fang Yongtan's men, in general, were not as strong as theirs, but under Fang Yongtan's leadership, these people showed a fighting spirit. It was this spirit that made them very difficult. If they risked their lives to fight, they might also face a lot of casualties, which was obviously not a wise decision. After thinking about it, Tian Xiaobing decided to use words to stimulate Fang Yongtan. As long as he could defeat Fang Yongtan, he could help others. In this way, the situation of the battle would definitely change quickly. Fang Yongtan, I advise you to give up struggling. Your alliance is definitely vulnerable in front of our King Longgang. Tian Xiaobing laughed coldly. Are you still counting on Li Xianun to bring people to support you after the battle? I can tell you very clearly that you should give up this idea. Tian Xiaobing, at this time, is it still meaningful to say these? Since you think we are vulnerable, then show your strength to defeat us. Why do you have to show off here? Feng Yongtan sneered and refuted back. I'm trying to attract attention. Tian Xiaobing laughed in anger and said, I'm not afraid to tell you that our leader has broken through to the level of a 4th level evolver. Do you think that Li Xianun and others can deal with a 4th level evolver? What did you say? Dongfang Ling broke through to the 4th level evolver. Feng Yongtan frowned. Yes, our leader is now a 4th level evolver. Seeing Feng Yongtan's reaction, Tian Xiaobing was very satisfied. Feng Yongtan's eyes rolled, and then he immediately denied it. Impossible. How can a 4th level evolver break through so easily? You still want to confuse the public here? I advise you to give up this idea. Feng Yongtan really didn't believe what Tian Xiaobing said. He himself was a 3rd level evolver and knew how difficult it was to improve the strength of a 3rd level evolver, not to mention the leap from a 3rd level evolver to a 4th level evolver. Therefore, he subconsciously thought that Tian Xiaobing was lying and deliberately said these words to stimulate them so that they would be upset and lead to the defeat of this battle. Do I have to lie to you? Tian Xiaobing sneered again. We have been preparing for such a long time, not only to use mutagenic factors to create evolvers and cultivate their combat experience, but also to wait for our gang leader to break through to the level of a 4th level evolver. Believe it or not, it doesn't change this fact. Just wait. It won't be long before our gang leader brings people to kill us. By then, all of you will die, and no one will survive. No matter how true Tian Xiaobing's words sounded, Feng Yongtan didn't believe Tian Xiaobing's words at this time. He always firmly believed that Tian Xiaobing was deliberately disturbing the morale of the army. Everyone, don't believe his lies. He just wants to stimulate us to lower our morale, Feng Yongtan said loudly. Don't worry about it. Let's fight to the end. The moment Feng Yongtan's voice fell, a convoy drove over. At the same time, a voice came from the convoy, saying, Tian Xiaobing is right. Dongfang Ling is indeed a level 4 evolver. When this voice spread in the field, the atmosphere in the whole field became silent, and everyone looked at the convoy, and then kept thinking about the words. The convoy drove to the front, stopped one after another, opened the car door, and Li Xianun got out of the car first. Xianun, Feng Yongtan's eyes fell on Li Xianun, and he couldn't help but be stunned. He naturally heard that the person who just spoke was Li Xianun. Even Li Xianun said so. Could it be that Dongfang Ling's strength has really reached the level of a level 4 evolver? If so, how can they fight? For a moment, Feng Yongtan ignored the key question of why Li Xianun appeared at this time, and was completely immersed in what Li Xianun said. Brother Feng, Dongfang Ling does have the strength of a level 4 evolver. Li Xianun looked at Feng Yongtan and nodded seriously. Haha, Feng Yongtan, didn't you just not believe it? Tian Xiaobing laughed. He didn't have time to guess the purpose of Li Xianun's coming. After all, in his opinion, Dongfang Ling's strength is absolutely unbeatable. Li Xianun's appearance may have surrendered to their King Longgang. After thinking about this matter clearly, Tian Xiaobing was as happy as he could be. Feng Yongtan's face became extremely solemn. He thought that even if Dongfang Ling's strength really reached the level of a 4th level evolver, Li Xianun should not say it at this time. Because, saying it at this time will undoubtedly hit their morale and make their people lose their fighting spirit. Li Xianun knew what Feng Yongtan was thinking. He looked at Tian Xiaobing with a disdainful smile on his face and said in a cold tone, it is true that Dongfang Ling has the strength of a 4th level evolver, but unfortunately, he is dead. These two simple words instantly set off an uproar in the field. Dongfang Ling, a 4th level evolver, is dead? What is going on? Bullshit, Tian Xiaobing couldn't help but yelled. Li Xianun, stop making up stories here. How can you defeat our leader with his strength? What? You don't believe it, Li Xianun said calmly. Tian Xiaobing didn't answer this question, but his answer could be seen from the expression on his face. How could he believe the fact that Dongfang Ling was dead? Unless he saw it with his own eyes. Chapter 369, Inciting Surrender. Even if Tian Xiaobing used his imagination to the fullest, he could not imagine how Dongfang Ling, who is a level 4 evolver, could be killed by Li Xianyun and others. Therefore, his attitude towards this matter now was that unless he saw it with his own eyes, he would not believe it to be true even if he was beaten to death. Li Xianyun clapped his hands and signaled the Li family to carry out the bodies of Dong Fangling and Liao Fihong. After receiving Li Xianyun's order, the Li family did not delay at all and immediately carried the bodies of Dong Fangling and Liao Fihong out of the trunk of the car, and then threw them on the ground. The bodies of Dong Fangling and Liao Fihong were lying face up. Tian Xiaobing and others only then carefully looked at the faces of the two bodies. After seeing them clearly, their hearts were suddenly shocked, and their whole bodies seemed to tremble uncontrollably at this time. It's really the gang leader and deputy gang leader Liao. How is this possible? The gang leader has the strength of a 4th level evolver. How could he die in their hands? What kind of conspiracy did they use to murder the gang leader? All the people in the Qinglong gang were deeply shocked. They couldn't believe that the two bodies lying on the ground were Dong Fangling and Liao Fihong. Or, in other words, they could barely accept Liao Fihong's body lying there, but they couldn't accept Dong Fangling's body. After all, Dong Fangling is a genuine 4th level evolver. Tian Xiaobing was undoubtedly the most shocked person in the audience. His eyes were wide open as he looked at Dong Fangling's body in disbelief. A 4th level evolver. That's such a powerful strength. Why was he defeated? Why was he killed? Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. The gang leader is so powerful. Why was he defeated? Tian Xiaobing still couldn't believe this was the fact. Even though Dong Fangling's body had appeared in front of him, he found it difficult to accept. Fang Yongtan also stared at the two corpses on the ground. After seeing the faces of Dong Fangling and Liao Fihong clearly, he was also deeply shocked. He took a deep breath, shifted his gaze to Li Xianyun, and couldn't help asking, Xianyun, who killed him? Isn't he a level 4 evolver? Fang Yongtan was really curious about this question at this time. Not only was he curious, but everyone around was also very curious. Could it be that Dong Fangling was not a level 4 evolver? I didn't say anything nonsense just now. Dong Fangling is indeed a level 4 evolver, but his strength is still not as strong as Lin Fan, and he was killed by Lin Fan, Li Xianyun said with a faint smile. When he said this, there was a hint of relief in his tone, as if Lin Fan killing Dong Fangling made him happier than killing Dong Fangling himself. What? It was done by little friend Lin. Fang Yongtan's body trembled violently. Lin Fan killed Dong Fangling. Fang Zhou heard Li Xianyun's answer next to him, and his face was also full of shock. Isn't Lin Fan only a level 3 evolver? How could Dong Fangling, a level 4 evolver, be killed? Tian Xiaobing found it even more incredible, and he roared, Li Xianyun. Can the kid defeat our leader? Humph. So what if Dong Fangling has the strength of a level 4 evolver? Lin Xiaoyao has awakened the ability to control objects through the air, and he can control 3 hidden weapons at the same time. Dong Fangling didn't even have the chance to escape and could only be killed by Lin Xiaoyao. Li Xianyun snorted coldly, now Dong Fangling's body is in front of you, and you still don't believe the facts. Then I can only say that you are too confident in Dong Fangling's strength. Do you think he is invincible just because he has reached the level 4 evolver? What? Lin Xiaoyao has also awakened this magical ability to control objects through the air. Fang Yuan was shocked beyond words. Yes, when we heard the news, we were also very surprised. We didn't expect that Lin Xiaoyao's awakened ability was so powerful. The key is that he can do 3 things at the same time and control 3 hidden weapons at the same time. Otherwise, Dong Fangling would have really escaped. Li Xianyun recalled that scene of the battle, and his heart was filled with excitement. At his age, there are not many things that can make him feel excited. Fang Yongtan took a deep breath and sighed solemnly. Lin Xiaoyao is really amazing. I must go with you to meet him. No problem, Li Xianyun nodded. Then, Li Xianyun glanced at one of the cars, and soon the door of the car opened again, and a middle-aged man walked out. This middle-aged man was the former head of the Qinglong gang who came with him. Xiao Feng. Tian Xiaobing saw the middle-aged man and immediately called out his name. Xiao Feng looked at Tian Xiaobing and said, Tian Xiaobing, I can tell you very clearly that Dong Fangling was indeed killed by brother Lin Fan. You don't need to have any doubts about this. What did you say? Tian Xiaobing was stunned. Not only did he hear Xiao Feng calling him and Dong Fangling by their names, he also heard Xiao Feng calling Lin Fan brother Lin Fan. What does this mean? Doesn't it mean that Xiao Feng has betrayed? Xiao Feng ignored Bian Xiaobing's shocked expression, but looked at the rest of the Qinglong gang and said loudly, "Brothers, Dongfang Ling and Liao Fihong are dead, and the Qinglong gang is completely finished. If you continue to resist, you will undoubtedly follow in the footsteps of Dongfang Ling and Liao Fihong and die with them. That is not the fate you should have. When I came here, Brother Lin Fan had already said that as long as you are willing to give up the dark and join the light, he can forgive the past and give you a way out, so that they can develop better with him." As soon as Xiao Feng said this, the atmosphere in the field changed greatly in an instant. Yes, Hall Master Xiao Feng is right. Dongfang Ling and Liao Fihong are both dead. Lin Fan is so powerful. If we don't surrender, we will be killed sooner or later. There is no need to lose our lives for Dongfang Ling and Liao Fihong. Yes, Hall Master Xiao Feng has turned from darkness to light. We should also turn from darkness to light. We have finally survived the doomsday outbreak. We can't just die like this. Let's surrender together. The situation is now very clear. If we continue to resist, we will definitely die. Now we can still get a way to live by surrendering. Yes, surrender, surrender, everyone surrender together. After the people of the Qinglong gang reacted, they all wanted to surrender. It can be seen from here that Xiao Feng's position in their hearts is still very good. Xiao Feng, you traitor, it's okay for you to betray yourself, but you dare to let everyone follow you to betray? Do you really want to be a traitor with Xiao Feng? Tian Xiaobing shouted loudly. Chapter 370 A Great Victory. Tian Xiaobing had not expected that Xiao Feng's appearance would change the situation so much. From the voices he heard, most of the Qinglong gang here now had the idea of surrendering, and a small number of people were also ready to make a move. It was estimated that as long as those people really surrendered, these few would also surrender without hesitation. If it was before, Xiao Feng, as the leader of the hall, would naturally not dare to challenge Tian Xiaobing's identity as the deputy leader, nor would he dare to contradict Tian Xiaobing. But now, he no longer belongs to the Qinglong gang, and the Qinglong gang is about to be removed from the list, so he doesn't need to worry about anything. Tian Xiaobing, you are just stubborn, Xiao Feng responded lightly. This made Tian Xiaobing even more angry, his face turned blue and purple, and he wished he could cut Xiao Feng into pieces. Everyone. Even if Lin Fan really has the strength to kill the gang leader, it's just luck. Do you think you will be treated well if you surrender? You are just dreaming. They will still be on guard against you at that time. Tian Xiaobing rolled his eyes and said loudly, "Why don't you come back to the headquarters base with me now? We will hold on inside. I don't believe they can move us." Dongfang Ling was dead. Tian Xiaobing undoubtedly had the idea of becoming the gang leader himself. If such a large group of evolvers followed him, he would be equivalent to having a huge force. How could he miss such an opportunity at this time? Haha, Tian Xiaobing, you are really too naive. You still want to go back to your headquarters base? Li Shangjin also came here with Li Xiaonin. After hearing what Tian Xiaobing said, he laughed and said, "Your headquarters base has been taken down a long time ago." Took down. Tian Xiaobing was stunned at first, then shook his head fiercely and said, "Impossible. In such a short time, you can't have been to our headquarters base." Tian Xiaobing made an inference based on the time. The battle over the Li family had just ended not long ago. He didn't believe that Li Xiaonin and others had already gone to Bei'an City, so when he denied it, he was very firm. "Who told you that we took action later?" Li Shangjin laughed and said, "I didn't stay in Zhonghe City to participate in the battle from the beginning, but went directly to your headquarters base. If you don't believe it, you should know this thing, right?" As he spoke, Li Shangjin took out the small sculpture of Dongfang Ling from his body. Seeing the small sculpture in Li Shangjin's hand, Tian Xiaobing's body was shocked. As the deputy leader of the Qinglong gang, he was obviously very clear that this small sculpture existed in the Dongfangling villa. If Li Shangjin and others had not been to the Dongfangling villa, it would be impossible for them to get this small sculpture. So at this moment, Tian Xiaobing also believed that their headquarters base had indeed been taken down. Thinking of this, Tian Xiaobing felt that his blood was rising and his eyes were a little black. Their huge Qinglong gang had fallen to this point in less than a day. Moreover, this was the result of them using the trade fair to collect so many mutagenic factors and preparing for such a long time. This would probably be difficult for anyone to accept, not to mention that he was the deputy leader of the Qinglong gang. Tian Xiaobing, you don't have to struggle anymore. Just stick your neck out and die. Then you can have a quick end. Li Changjin looked at Tian Xiaobing and said lightly. Tian Xiaobing laughed. I want to leave, you are still stopping me. After he finished speaking, he looked at the other two level 3 evolvers and said, let's go, let them surrender. The three of us can still make some achievements when we go out. The other two level 3 evolvers looked at each other and nodded. It was not easy for them to grow up to where they are today. They didn't want to be restricted after surrendering. Anyway, with the strength of level 3 evolvers, they might be able to live better outside. The most important thing is that he also felt that if Lin Fan didn't come, they and Tian Xiaobing could retreat. Let's go. Seeing the two level 3 evolvers nod, Tian Xiaobing finally felt a little comforted in his heart. He waved his hand and wanted to retreat. Still want to leave? You are dreaming, Li Xianyun sneered, then looked at Fang Yongtan and said, Brother Fang, let's work together to get rid of the three of them. We can't give them a chance to leave, okay? Fang Yongtan naturally had no objection to Li Xianyun's arrangement, and nodded and agreed. So, Li Xianyun, Fang Yongtan and two level 3 evolvers from the alliance surrounded Tian Xiaobing and his 3 companions. Li Xianyun and his 4 companions surrounded them from 4 directions, which means that they blocked all the directions that Tian Xiaobing and his 3 companions wanted to retreat. If Tian Xiaobing and his 3 companions wanted to leave, they had to fight them. Kill them, Tian Xiaobing shouted loudly when he saw Li Xianyun and his 4 companions surrounding them. The battle between the two sides soon began to get fierce. The rest of the Qinglong gang had already listened to Xiao Feng's advice and chose to surrender. At this time, it was obvious that no one would help Tian Xiaobing and his 3 companions. Everyone's eyes were focused on their battle circle. Although Tian Xiaobing and his 3 companions were very strong, in fact, there was not much suspense in this battle. After all, Li Xianyun, Fang Yongtan and their companions were not vegetarians, and they also had the advantage in numbers. After about 10 minutes, Tian Xiaobing and his 3 companions were defeated, and all 3 of them lay on the ground with injuries. Do you know whose work is in vain? Li Xianyun glanced at Tian Xiaobing calmly. Don't kill us, we surrender too. Tian Xiaobing seemed to have changed his face and begged for mercy. Now the situation is very clear. Unless they have wings, they can escape, otherwise they will die here. So, at this time, Tian Xiaobing didn't care about face or not, he just wanted to save his life first. Hearing Tian Xiaobing begging for mercy, the other 2 third-level evolvers naturally didn't have the courage to insist. We surrender, the 2 third-level evolvers looked at each other and begged for mercy at the same time. I'm sorry, we don't need the surrender of the 3 of you. It's better for you to leave together, Li Xianyun sneered and made a gesture of wiping his neck. Seeing this, several members of the Li family came forward and ended the lives of Tian Xiaobing and the other 2 without hesitation. After doing all this, Li Xianyun turned his gaze to Fang Yongtan and said, Brother Fang, we have won a great victory in this battle. Chapter 371 Progress. Haha, yes, a great victory, Fang Yongtan laughed and was also very happy. He thought that they would suffer heavy losses in this battle, but he didn't expect that the losses were not small at all. However, this is all thanks to Lin Xiaoyao. If it weren't for Lin Xiaoyao getting rid of Dong Fangling, we would never have won this battle, Li Xianyun added. That's for sure, Fang Yongtan nodded, and then asked in a low voice, just now, Tian Xiaobing and the others were still alive, so I didn't ask. Now I want to ask, did Lin Xiaoyao really get rid of Dong Fangling alone? This question really made him curious, but Tian Xiaobing and the other 2 were there before, and he was a little unclear whether Li Xianyun said that to make Tian Xiaobing and the other 2 give up resistance or for other purposes. Now that Tian Xiaobing and the other 2 are dead, he can naturally ask the doubts in his heart with peace of mind. Really? Li Xianyun nodded seriously and said, from the beginning to the end, none of us helped Lin Xiaoyao. It was Lin Xiaoyao who killed Dong Fangling, who is a level 4 evolver. Hearing this, Fang Yongtan was shocked and couldn't help but sighed. Heroes come from young people, heroes come from young people. We are all old now, Li Xianyun agreed with Fang Yongtan's words, but he didn't say much on this issue and quickly got back to the point. Li Xianyun said, Brother Fang, since the battle here is over, let's pack up and go to Zhonghe City together. First, we will all thank Lin Xiaoyao together, and second, we will celebrate the victory of this battle. Our Li family will arrange a celebration banquet. Don't compete with me for this job, okay? I won't compete with you this time. Lin Xiaoyao happens to be over there, and I also want to visit him. Feng Yongtan nodded and said. Lin Fan played an indispensable role in the victory of this battle. They should all thank Lin Fan. Without his help, they would have failed. Soon, Feng Yongtan asked everyone to clean up. As the saying goes, there is strength in numbers. They cleaned up the place in no time. Okay, everyone, let's go to Zhonghe City, Feng Yongtan said loudly. A large convoy drove on the road and headed straight for Zhonghe City. Li's family. Lin Fan was in the room. He opened his eyes and a faint smile appeared on his face. I didn't expect that the battle with Dongfang Ling would bring me an improvement. It's really an unexpected gain, Lin Fan said to himself. Then, he used the ring to read his own data information. Species, human level 3 strength. 15 speed. 15 reaction. 15 defense. 13 ability, telekinesis, elementary. There is no need to guess that the data improvement this time is closely related to the battle with Dongfang Ling. It seems that fighting beyond the limit can indeed bring certain benefits to one's own evolution to a certain extent. Lin Fan's eyes flashed and he summarized. The battle between him and Dongfang Ling can indeed be said to be a life and death battle beyond the limit, which stimulated all his potential, which led to the improvement of his data. It's a pity that such a life and death extreme battle is full of great dangers, and it is impossible to have the opportunity to encounter it at any time. Therefore, this method of evolution cannot be promoted, at least, Muranzhu, Muranshan and Li Zihan cannot be allowed to take such risks. Dong dong. There was a knock on the door. Brother Lin Fan, it's me. Muranshan's voice followed. Before Lin Fan could answer, Andy, who had been lying on the floor of the room, took action and immediately ran over to open the door. Andy, Muranshan was so happy to see Andy come to open the door for her. She squatted down and kept touching Andy's head with her hands. Andy and Muranshan gradually became more familiar with each other. Andy didn't care about Muranshan's touching his head, and even took the initiative to nod his head as a kind of intimate response. Xiao Shan, you came to me, didn't you just want to say hello to Andy? Lin Fan looked at this scene and asked helplessly. Hearing Lin Fan's words, Muranshan remembered that she had something else to do with Lin Fan. Brother Lin Fan, someone who inquired about the news said that the head of the Li family and the people of the Fang family came back together, and they will probably be here in a while. Muranshan stood up and said, my sister and Sister Zihan have already arranged the celebration banquet. They asked me to inform you, the celebration banquet for so many people really needs to be arranged well. Li Zihan was worried that she couldn't handle it alone, so she asked Muranshan to help arrange it together. How could Muranshan refuse such a request? Okay, then let's go to the meeting hall and wait. I guess they will go to the meeting hall first, Lin Fan nodded. He was the protagonist of this battle, and the celebration banquet would not be without him anyway. Well, let's go, Muranshan nodded lightly. Andy, then you stay here and rest. Lin Fan looked at Andy and warned him before going out. Andy nodded his dog head. Lin Fan and Muranshan did not waste any more time. The two walked out of the courtyard and went directly to the meeting hall. Outside the gate of the Li family, a motorcade drove over and drove in quickly, parking the cars one after another. Everyone, welcome to our family. Please follow me to the meeting hall and sit for a while. The celebration banquet is already being arranged. We will have dinner after the celebration banquet is ready, Li Xianun said to everyone after getting off the car. He had arranged for someone to come back and inform Li Zihan to arrange the celebration banquet in advance, so everything was under control. Everyone did not delay and followed Li Xianun to the meeting hall of the Li family. Of course, not everyone went there. Some representative figures went there. The rest were arranged to rest and wait somewhere else. Brother Lin Fan, they're here. In the meeting hall, Lin Fan was sitting on a chair. Muranshan had been staring at the door. Seeing Li Xianun and others walking towards the meeting hall, she hurriedly said to Lin Fan. Yet, Lin Fan nodded. He had good hearing. He didn't need to use his eyes to see. He could hear that Li Xianun and others were coming just by listening to the sound. Li Xianun and others walked into the meeting hall, and their eyes fell on Lin Fan. They didn't expect that Lin Fan would be waiting for them here. Little friend Lin. I was just about to ask someone to notify you to come over, but I didn't expect you to be here, Li Xianun said hurriedly. Master Li, you don't have to be polite. I only knew that you were back after hearing what Zihan said. Lin Fan smiled slightly. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 372, Continued Existence. Friend Lin, nice to meet you. I am Fang Yongtan, the head of the Fang family. Just as Lin Fan finished speaking, Fang Yongtan stepped forward and stretched out his hand to Lin Fan. He had always heard about him before, but had never seen him in person. Seeing Lin Fan now, he naturally had to greet him. Hello, head of the Fang family. Lin Fan stretched out his hand and shook hands with Fang Yongtan. The moment they shook hands, Fang Yongtan could feel that Lin Fan's strength and momentum were very strong, and they were definitely not comparable. No wonder even a level 4 evolver like Dongfang Ling was defeated by Lin Fan. This was not without reason. The rest of the people also greeted Lin Fan one after another. They all admired Lin Fan's strength. Lin Fan, Fang Zhou walked out of the crowd, came to Lin Fan, and shouted with a smile. Haha, Fang Zhou, I didn't expect that we would meet again. Lin Fan stretched out his hand and patted Fang Zhou on the shoulder. He still had a good impression of Fang Zhou. At least, Fang Zhou's mind is very simple, not as insidious and cunning as a hungry person. Such a person is very suitable to be a friend. Seeing that Lin Fan and Fang Zhou seem to have a good relationship, Fang Yongtan is also very happy in his heart. After all, Lin Fan's strength and potential are so strong, Fang Zhou can become a good friend of Lin Fan, which will definitely be beneficial to the future of their Fang family. Master Li, Master Fang, is the situation over there okay? After saying hello, Lin Fan led the question to the topic. Li Xianitun glanced at Fang Yongtan and said, Brother Fang, you should personally introduce the situation over there to Lin Fan. Yes, Fang Yongtan naturally had no objection to this. He nodded and said, when Xianitun and the others did not bring people to support us, we were evenly matched with Dian Xiaobing and the others. They did not have any upper hand, and we did not fall into a disadvantageous position. The two sides maintained a relative balance. However, during this process, it can be seen that Dian Xiaobing was a little anxious and wanted to take us down as quickly as possible. Understandable. Lin Fan also nodded and said, although Dian Xiaobing is the deputy leader of the Qinglong gang, he is not absolutely stable. He wants to take you down as quickly as possible, which is nothing more than that he believes that Dongfang Ling's side will definitely win. If you were defeated after Dongfang Ling brought people to support you, then he would not have much credit for this battle. Only if he defeated you before Dongfang Ling and others went to support, his credit would be great, and he would be able to further consolidate his position as deputy leader. After hearing Lin Fan's analysis, Fang Yongtan couldn't help but praise him. I hadn't thought of this before, and was wondering why Dian Xiaobing was so anxious. It turned out that this was the reason. Lin Xiao's perspective on the problem is indeed very accurate. Fang Yongtan really admired Lin Fan. He had heard Li Xianitun praise Lin Fan's wisdom before, and he was still a little bit unconvinced. But at this moment, just hearing Lin Fan's analysis of Dian Xiaobing's thoughts, he completely believed it. Lin Fan's wisdom was indeed very powerful. Master Fang, you are too kind. Lin Fan smiled faintly. Fang Yongtan continued, we continued to fight, and before long, Dian Xiaobing said that Dongfang Ling had actually broken through to the strength of a 4th level evolver, trying to undermine our morale. As a result, as soon as he finished speaking, Xianitun appeared with the bodies of Dongfang Ling and Liao Fihong, and threw them out. After seeing it with their own eyes, they were almost collectively dumbfounded. They had never thought that a 4th level evolver like Dongfang Ling would be killed. After that, Xiao Fen came out to persuade the rest of the Qinglong gang to surrender. Dian Xiaobing and the other 2 3rd-level evolvers planned to break out and make a comeback, but were eliminated by the 4 of us. Fang Yongtan roughly recounted the situation. Dian Xiaobing wanted to beg for mercy at the last moment, which was ridiculous, Li Xianitun added. As expected, Lin Fan nodded. Dian Xiaobing himself was a sinister and cunning person. When he really faced death, he would definitely beg for mercy. Soon, everyone found a seat and sat down. The victory of this battle was entirely due to Mr. Lin. We should all thank Mr. Lin for his help, Li Xianitun suggested. Then, everyone stood up and thanked Lin Fan solemnly. Lin Fan did not act pretentiously and accepted the thanks with pleasure. Mr. Lin, now that the Qinglong gang has been eliminated by us, I wonder what should be done with those family forces that supported the Qinglong gang and remained neutral before. Li Xianyun thought about it and raised the question. This question was not only for him to know the answer, but also for Fang Yongtan and others. However, they were not as thoughtful as Lin Fan in this regard, so they wanted to get some hints from Lin Fan. Lin Fan did not answer immediately. Instead, he thought for a moment and then said, for such a large Zhonghe, if it continues to be in chaos, there will actually be no benefit. At that time, the various parties may even fight over resources, especially those family forces that have previously supported the Qinglong gang. They are the easiest to cause trouble. We are not afraid of them doing it openly, but we are afraid of them doing it secretly. Although we are not afraid of them, doing things secretly can also bring a lot of trouble. I have a suggestion here. I wonder if you are willing to adopt it. Please speak, Mr. Lin. Li Xianyun, Fang Yongtan and others expressed their opinions in unison. They just wanted to hear Lin Fan's answer and suggestions. What I mean is, since the alliance has been established this time, let's not disband it and let the alliance continue. Lin Fan pondered. In this way, we can openly ask those family forces that have remained neutral and supported the Qinglong gang before, asking them whether they want to join the alliance. It's like giving them the last chance to consider. If they want to join the alliance, we can let them go. If they don't want to join the alliance and want to go against the alliance, then we can only ask them to leave Zhonghe or die. There are only these two choices, and they must choose one. After hearing what Lin Fan said, Li Xianyun took the lead and said, I agree. Then, Fang Yongtan followed and said, I agree too. I agree, agree, agree. A series of voices of support continued to come out, and the leaders of the other family forces in the alliance expressed their opinions one after another, and no one opposed Lin Fan's suggestion. This is not to say that they gave their opinions because they were afraid of Lin Fan's strength, but that after listening to Lin Fan's opinions, they felt that there was really no problem. Chapter 373, Alliance. If the alliance continues to exist, I think we should still choose a leader. Just after everyone agreed, a voice was heard again. The person who said this was the head of a family. Although his strength was at the level of a second-level evolver, the question he raised attracted everyone's attention. Yes, if we want the alliance to continue to exist, we must have a leader. I think so too. While everyone is here, why don't we choose a leader? Yes, only after the leader is elected can it mean that our alliance exists more reasonably. Not bad, not bad. Everyone expressed their approval again. Then, everyone's eyes converged on Lin Fan. Li Xianyun was the first to say, little friend Lin, I think the position of leader belongs to you, Master Li. Lin Fan was stunned. He didn't expect Li Xianyun to nominate him to be the leader. Little friend Lin, please don't shirk your responsibility. First of all, we won the battle against Qinglong entirely because of your presence. Secondly, your strength convinced us. Finally, it was you who proposed to us to create this alliance. Li Xianyun said seriously, choosing you as our leader is definitely what everyone wants. Don't you think so? Yes, Fang Yongtan and others nodded in response. Then, Fang Yongtan added, little friend Lin, the position of leader is indeed for you. There is no one more suitable than you. You really can't shirk your responsibility. If it weren't for Lin Fan, and they won the battle, and still had to choose a leader, then there was no doubt that the candidate for the leader would be chosen from Li Xianyun and Fang Yongtan. After all, everyone had witnessed the strength of Li Xianyun and Fang Yongtan, and it was very likely that it would be Li Xianyun, because the Li family was stronger than the Fang family. But with the existence of Lin Fan, Li Xianyun and Fang Yongtan will have to stand aside. No matter how strong they are, they can't defeat Dongfang Ling. Lin Fan can even defeat Dongfang Ling, let alone defeat the two of them. The most important thing is that Lin Fan is not only extremely powerful, but also can be compared with him in terms of wisdom. After such a comprehensive comparison, there is no doubt that Lin Fan is the best candidate for the leader. Lin Fan knows very well that Li Xianyun, Fang Yongtan and the others want him to be the leader from the bottom of their hearts, not just for show. Since there is such an opportunity, there is no need for him to let it go. His own goal is not limited to a small place. He has always wanted to develop better and better in the Doomsday. Becoming the leader of the alliance means that Zhonghe will be controlled soon. At that time, he can integrate with Wenglao and others, and Jiangnan province can also be handled. The resources of Zhonghe and Jiangnan can be said to be quite rich. With the resources of these two places, both he and their whole can develop better. Well, Since everyone thinks highly of me and wants me to take on the position of leader, I won't refuse. Lin Fan nodded quickly and agreed. Meetings, leader. When everyone saw Lin Fan nod, they all had a look of joy on their faces. They immediately clasped their fists and saluted Lin Fan. They also changed their way of addressing Lin Fan, calling him leader directly. I declare that our alliance will be officially called the Zhongheng Alliance from today on, Lin Fan said. The name of the alliance is Zhongheng, which is enough to show Lin Fan's ambition. Li Xianun, Feng Yongtan and others were very satisfied with this name. They could also feel how big Lin Fan's ambition was from the name. Zhongheng, Zhongheng, Zhongheng in all directions. It was equivalent to that sooner or later, Lin Fan would let the Zhongheng Alliance sweep all directions, and when that time came, they would be members of the Zhongheng Alliance, and naturally they would also benefit from it. After talking in the meeting hall for an hour, Li Zihan arranged for someone to inform them that the celebration banquet was arranged. Lin Fan stood up and said, "Everyone, the celebration banquet has been arranged. Let's go and celebrate first, to celebrate our victory in this battle, and to celebrate the official opening of a new chapter for our Zhongheng Alliance." Okay, Li Xianun, Feng Yongtan and others responded in unison. This celebration banquet lasted for several hours. Everyone was very happy and excited. It can be said that they did not return until they were drunk. Many people were drunk. When Lin Fan, Murenzhu and Murenshan returned to the courtyard, it was already around 2 o'clock in the morning. Brother Lin Fan, you said that you are the leader of the alliance. What positions should be arranged for me and my sister? Murenshan winked playfully. Lin Fan smiled slightly and asked, "Tell me what position you want first." "I just asked you because I don't know what positions there are," Murenshan said. She really didn't know what positions there were. "In fact, I haven't thought about this yet, but what is certain is that Patriarch Li and Patriarch Fang, the two of them, should be given the position of deputy leader," Lin Fan said slowly. Murenzhu nodded and said, "Yes, the Li family master and the Fang family master are both from Zhonghe. The Li family and the Fang family have a great reputation in Zhonghe. Most people in the Zhongheng Alliance are from Zhonghe. Letting them take on the position of deputy leader can also play a certain role in stabilizing the situation." "Yes, that's what I think," Lin Fan nodded. Li Xianun and Fang Yongtan's own strength is not bad. Under normal circumstances, although it is impossible to determine how long it will take them to be promoted to the 4th level of evolution, as long as they don't encounter any unexpected situations, it should be sooner or later that they will be promoted to the 4th level of evolution. Therefore, it is very appropriate to let Li Xianun and Fang Yongtan take the position of deputy leader. Thinking of this, Lin Fan smiled and looked at Murenzhu and Murenshan, and said, "You two, you must be my right-hand men. Are you okay with the position of assistant to the leader?" Yes, assistant to the leader, it sounds very high-end and classy," Murenshan chuckled. Murenzhu also smiled. She didn't have any requirements for these. As long as she could be by Lin Fan's side, she didn't care about the position. "Okay, it's getting late now. Let's take a rest first. We still need to discuss the specific action plan with them tomorrow," Lin Fan said. After the Zhongheng Alliance was officially established, the first thing to do was to take down Zhonghe. And to take down Zhonghe, we have to take action against the other family forces and see what the other family forces are planning. Such an action must have a specific action plan to ensure the most efficient implementation. Chapter 374 8 Teams. The night passed quickly. The next morning, after Lin Fan got up and had his meal, he quickly gathered with Li Xianun, Feng Yongtan and others. "Leader," everyone looked at Lin Fan and greeted him in unison. "Everyone, please sit down," Lin Fan nodded and said, "Our Zhongheng Alliance has been officially established. The next thing to do is to take control of the entire Zhonghe. Regarding this matter, I would like to hear your opinions first. You can speak freely about your ideas. Our job today is to discuss a perfect action plan." After Lin Fan finished speaking, someone immediately expressed his opinion. Then, the rest of the people also became active and expressed their ideas one after another. Lin Fan listened carefully to everyone's opinions. Although he was very confident, he was not arrogant. As the saying goes, many hands make light work. Some people's ideas and suggestions are still very good. Soon, Li Xianun said, "Alliance leader, my suggestion is that we can take measures of multiple actions. For example, our people can be divided into 8 teams and expand out from 8 directions. In this way, We can improve efficiency and save time. Fang Yuantan also said, Alliance leader, I think Xianyun is right. We have enough people now. The remaining family forces, after learning that the 4th level evolvers like Dongfangling died in your hands, and the Qinglong gang was destroyed by us in less than a day, undoubtedly caused a great psychological shock to them. They may not dare to sing against us at all. We arrange people to go out from 8 directions. It can be basically concluded that they are invincible. No family force should dare to fight with our people. At most, they will choose to flee from Zhonghe. What we need to consider is whether to chase in situations like this. Hearing this, Lin Fan nodded and said, Patriarch Li and Patriarch Feng are right. Then, he glanced at everyone and said, I think the opinions and suggestions you just provided are all very good and unique, but for the current situation, I am more inclined to adopt the method of Patriarch Li and Patriarch Feng, and let our people be divided into 8 teams, and expand out from 8 directions. As for those who escape, if we can catch up with them within a certain range, we will catch up with them. If we can't catch up, it's not a bad idea to let them go. After all, our top priority is to take over the entire Zhonghe. Nothing else is important compared to this top priority. Master, you are wise, everyone answered in unison. Lin Fan nodded, his eyes fell on Li Xianyun and Fang Yongtan, and said, in addition to the position of leader, our Zhongheng alliance also needs a deputy leader. Now I announce that the head of the Li family and the head of the Fang family are appointed as deputy leaders of the Zhongheng alliance. When I am not here, everything will be based on their decisions. Yes, everyone had no objection and said, meet the 2 deputy leaders. Li Xianyun and Fang Yongtan were a little flattered. Although they felt that they were qualified to be deputy leaders of the Zhongheng alliance with their strength and original status, they did not expect Lin Fan to appoint them as deputy leaders so soon. They thought it would take some time before they were appointed. Thank you, leader. Li Xianyun and Fang Yongtan looked at each other and thanked Lin Fan at the same time. Lin Fan nodded slightly, looked at everyone, and said, as for the rest of the positions in the Zhongheng alliance, we will wait until Zhonghe is completely taken over this time before appointing them. Everyone can perform well in this operation. If you perform well, you will have a chance to do everything, reward according to merit. This is the principle set by Lin Fan. Whoever has made the greatest contribution will be eligible for the position. After all, some powerful people may be lazy and rely on their own strength to not take action. Lin Fan will naturally not give such people any position. Everything must be judged based on actual performance. Hearing Lin Fan say this, everyone's enthusiasm was instantly mobilized. Although they all knew that they could not compete for the position of deputy leader, it would definitely be a great thing for them if they could compete for other good positions. Alliance leader, I am willing to lead a team to set off. Alliance leader. I am also willing to lead a team to set off. Alliance leader, I am also willing to lead a team to set off. Many powerful family leaders immediately expressed their petitions, all wanting to make contributions in this action. I feel your enthusiasm. Thank you very much for your enthusiasm. Lin Fan smiled faintly and said, however, this operation is of great importance and cannot afford to make mistakes. The specific situation of leading the team will be decided after I discuss with the 2 vice leaders. Now, everyone can go down and rest. I will discuss the specific situation with the 2 vice leaders. Yes. After the other people answered in unison, they did not waste any more time and left the meeting hall one after another. After they all left, Lin Fan, Li Xianyun and Fang Yongtan sat back in their seats. Master Li, Master Fang, do you have any good suggestions for the 8 teams of this operation? Lin Fan looked at Li Xianyun and Fang Yongtan and asked. The Li family and the Fang family are both deeply rooted families in Zhonghe. They know the major family forces in Zhonghe very well, at least much better than he does. Therefore, on the issue of arrangement, it is obviously best to ask Li Xianyun and Fang Yongtan for their opinions first. Hearing Lin Fan's question, Li Xianyun thought for a moment and said first, Alliance leader, I personally think that we and Brother Fang should be given priority. Brother Fang and I are now deputy leaders, so we should naturally take the lead and set a good example. Yes, Alliance leader, our 2 families must set a good example, Fang Yongtan said. Alright. Then for the 8 teams, your 2 families will each prepare a team, and now let's discuss the arrangements for the remaining 6 teams. Lin Fan nodded and agreed to the proposal of Li Xianyun and Fang Yongtan. Then, Li Xianyun and Fang Yongtan each mentioned 3 family forces, and the 2 sides added up to 6 teams. Okay, then we'll confirm these 6 teams for the time being. As for manpower, Xiao Feng and others can also be assigned to them to see how they perform. If they perform well, we may promote Xiao Feng and others. Lin Fan pondered and said, although they all belonged to the Qinglong gang before, I believe they don't have too many feelings for the Qinglong gang itself. They just chose to join because they felt the Qinglong gang was powerful. This doesn't affect anything. After all, in the doomsday, everyone wants better survival guarantees, okay? Leader, Li Xianyun and Fang Yongtan did not object and nodded. Chapter 375 What to do next? Soon, Li Xianyun and Fang Yongtan notified the results of the discussion. The 6 families that were given the lead were extremely happy and wanted to perform well in this action. Because only in this way could they be appointed and dismissed. With a leader like Lin Fan sitting in the Zhuanghang Alliance, they undoubtedly felt that the Zhuanghang Alliance had a bright future. In an alliance with a bright future, if they didn't perform well, it would be a waste. After another day, 8 teams set out from Zhonghe City and rushed towards the other cities. Li Xianyun led the Li family, Fang Yongtan led the Fang family, and the other 6 teams were also led by the strongest of their respective family forces. In the courtyard, Lin Fan, Murengzhu, Murengshan and Li Zihan were sitting here. Brother Lin Fan, what are our plans next? Murengshan asked curiously. What do you mean? Lin Fan asked back. That is, what are our plans after we take over Zhonghe? Murengshan asked. Murengzhu was actually quite curious about this question. After taking over Zhonghe, we can also take over Jiangnan completely. In this way, we will have the resources of 2 provinces, which will be better for our development, Lin Fan said in a deep voice. Oh, right, I almost forgot that we haven't taken over Jiangnan yet. I thought we had already taken over Jiangnan, Murengshan said with her head tilted. Lin Fan was amused by her words, shook his head helplessly, and said, from the overall strength of our alliance, after the integration is completed, we will go back and unite with Mr. Wang and others. It will be faster and easier to take over Jiangnan. Lin Fan believed that the overall strength of Zhonghe was stronger than that of Jiangnan. Especially this time, the Qinglong gang used mutagenic factors to create so many evolvers, which added a powerful force in vain. With such a force, he did not think it would be a big problem to take over Jiangnan. What's more, there were many excellent people in his own base, and there were endless guns and ammunition. It was imperative to take over Jiangnan. Lin Fan, how long do you think it will take for Zhonghe to stabilize? Murengzhu asked. Li Zihan was also very curious about this question. She also focused her eyes on Lin Fan, waiting for his answer. Lin Fan thought for a while and then said, it should take a month. 1 month? So long? Murengshan was shocked. Zhonghe is not small in area, and the remaining family forces are not all concentrated together. It will definitely take a lot of time. Do you think we can fly there? Lin Fan shrugged unhappily. Murengshan stuck out her tongue, looking very playful and cute. Lin Fan smiled and said, this period of time will not have much impact on us. We can still improve our strength, go out for training, Murengzhu asked. Yes, we will drive to the mountains before. The effect of training there will be better. If we encounter a level 3 zombie, we can also get a level 3 energy crystal. We will try to make your strength break through to the level of a level 3 evolver as soon as possible, Lin Fan nodded. Whether it is Murengzhu, Murengshan or Li Zihan, the talents and potential of these 3 girls are quite great. With a 3rd level energy crystal, they can certainly absorb it fully, so that they can be promoted to the 3rd level evolver more quickly. Moreover, Lin Fan's current strength has no problem dealing with a 4th level evolver. When they go to the mountains to train again, no matter how powerful the 3rd level zombies are, they can easily deal with them. This, at least guarantees absolute safety. Then only you can go this time, Li Zihan suddenly said. What's wrong? Lin Fan tilted his head to look at Li Zihan, and asked with some confusion. He subconsciously thought that Li Zihan was not feeling well. Zihan, aren't you going? Murengzhu asked. Yes, Sister Zihan, why don't you go with us? Murengshan also asked. Li Zihan said with some embarrassment, my grandfather and my father are out, and we have to leave someone to watch over the Li family. Hearing what Li Zihan said, Lin Fan smiled and said, what does this matter? I can tell you responsibly that there is no place in Zhonghe now that is safer than the Li family, and no one dares to offend, because everyone knows that I stay at the Li family. Who would be so blind as to come and seek death? We go out to train, and it won't alarm others. No one will come to the Li family to make trouble, don't worry. Besides, The other family forces are now busy dealing with our people and don't dare to have the mind to come here. There's really no need to worry about this kind of problem. Just rest assured to follow us to train. I will take full responsibility if anything goes wrong." Hearing this, Li Zihan was immediately happy. How could she not want to go out with Lin Fan and the other two to train? She just thought that Li Xianyun and Li Changjin were out, and someone had to watch over the Li family to avoid any problems, so she stayed. Now that Lin Fan has said so much, she naturally has nothing to worry about. "Okay, then let's go and experience together." Li Zihan nodded quickly. "Sister Zihan, that's right. The four of us are a small team. If we want to act, of course we have to act together. How can we leave you alone?" Muran Shan took Li Zihan's hand and said with a smile, "Anyway, Brother Lin Fan said that he will take full responsibility for any problems. You don't have to worry about anything." After she finished speaking, Andy came over and nudged her legs. "Andy, what's wrong with you?" Muran Shan asked in confusion. Andy couldn't speak and couldn't express himself clearly. But Lin Fan understood what Andy meant. He smiled and said, "Andy means that you just said that the four of us are a small team, but you didn't include this." "Oh, that's what you mean." Muran Shan reacted belatedly and quickly touched Andy's head with her hand and said, "Andy, I'm sorry, I forgot about you just now. I'm going to say it again. The five of us are a small team. We should go anywhere together and do everything together." Hearing Muran Shan say this, Andy became happy and barked twice. After the four of them continued to chat for a while, seeing that the sky was gradually getting dark, Lin Fan said, "Okay, have a good rest tonight. Tomorrow morning, after explaining some things, we will set off to the mountains to train." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.